All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Biblical Hitman, folks. My name is Steven, host of the show, and I got my four brothers. We got the Continental Round Table up in the house. All right, we got Andrew with 6G Agenda. We got Tim from Sixth Sensory Podcast, and we've got Ben Baumgarten, End of the World News Podcast. And I love these guys very much. But listen, before we get into the contents of the show, all right, come support your boy over on patreon.com/the biblical hitman. Get off your ad-free early access, direct chats, group chats, all the cool stuff is over there. We have a growing community. Get over there and come support the channel over on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, all of those places. You can hit the subscribe button, follow button, like the show, share it with your friends, drop a comment down below, whatever it is your thoughts are about the episode. That's where I can engage with the audience. And if you like the show, be sure to leave a 5-star review and all of these good things. And also check out the guests and their material, and we'll get to that here in just a moment. What up, gentlemen? Good to see you. Andrew, brother, for the audience, man, that may not be familiar with you, and they're familiar with you. All right. Could you just let them know where they can check out all your stuff and check out all your content?
Yeah, thanks. Good to see you guys again. Thanks for having me back, and super excited. You can find me on all platforms, 6G Agenda. We keep it easy. Also on social media. And yeah, great to be back. Shout out chat. Shout out everybody in there. And yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, I love the show that we did last night. A lot of fun. I caught your show with Tim last night too, and hopefully we can get into that kind of topic. But for everyone that's a visual learner or whatever, here you go. That's his YouTube channel. Go ahead, check it out. Tim, brother, thanks for coming on, man. Please, where can the audience check out all your stuff?
Yeah, thanks for having me back on, man. I always love getting together with you guys. The song that was kind of playing through my head was "The Boys Are Back in Town," Thin Lizzy, because it feels like this is like one of those type of shows because we haven't done it in a couple of weeks, so it just feels like, yeah, we're back. Let's do this. So, yeah, man, happy to be here. Happy to talk with you guys as always. There's some stuff that I didn't get into all the way with Andrew yesterday. Maybe that'll come up, but either way, I'm excited. But yeah, my show, Sixth Sensory Podcast, on the screen here. Come find me on Spotify, YouTube, or Apple. If you like Instagram, I'm on there too. And Patreon for bonus material. And thanks again for having me on.
Yeah. Oh, look, you did a show with Austin. Nice, dude. Yeah. I love that guy. Yeah, I got one coming up with him pretty soon.
Good.
Ben, good to see you, man.
Good to see you, sir.
Yeah, where can they check out all your content, brother?
You can find me at End of the World News, End of the World News on Instagram, or End of the World's News on YouTube. I'm also on Spotify and iTunes. And once again, I'm happy to be back with the boys. The boys are back in town. I was going to go to Kentucky and help Demolay International member Thomas Massey win an election that he was already going to win. But this seemed more pressing. So once again, thank you. It's glad to be back with you guys.
Is that Alex Jones? There's Alex. Good old Alex. Oh boy, man.
What's the deal that his show I keep hearing people say, InfoWars got shut down, or what's the deal with that? Ben, I figure you might be the guy to ask, actually.
I mean, I think this all stems from a fake trial with Alex Jones. I'm not going to mention the name, but we all know what we're talking about. I think it was all a psyop. I think this is how they create controlled opposition. If the system that you oppose is against this person, they must be good. This false light awakening, which many of us, including Steven, has been touching on this. So yeah, I just think it's how they create controlled opposition. They want you to forget that he spent the majority of his time the last 2 or 3 years helping elect the Zio cartel agenda. So I think that's what it's all about. He's still here, clearly.
Hey, it looks like Steph Hunter is going to join you, by the way.
Steven, you set it up, man. I jumped in there too soon with that one. Sorry. Set the show up, dude.
Did, man. Well, listen, why I like talking with you guys and how I think we really kind of all bond and we kind of adhere together very nicely is we don't really we want to get the truth out there. We want to get we want to expose the mystery schools, the plans. We want to really talk about how the world's moving and shifting and where it's going towards, instead of gatekeeping this information for clicks, views, algorithm benefits, whatever. I don't care. I want to be able to get this information out to people so that ultimately they can come to the truth. They can, seek the Bible. They can get into it. They can find the truth in Jesus Christ, man. And that the times that are approaching are only moving towards new age agendas, theosophical agendas, mystery school agendas, all of this stuff. And it's saturating our world, man. And I figured, you know, we can get into, all of those different things. I listened to your guys' show last night talking about Atlantis. I know that definitely me and Andrew talked about Atlantis last night as well. And when I think of that, it makes me think of Edgar Casey's teachings, which, by the way, he was a New Age, advocate. He was a huge New Age asset, and because of him and his teachings, you had hundreds of foundations, New Age foundations being created. Many people wrote hundreds of books based off of his life's work, and all of it contributes to what I think is the plan. And I think that the plan has everything to do with what possibly can come out of Egypt, the Giza Plateau, all of this hidden wisdom, this hidden knowledge, a lot of the interaction with the goddess stuff, and basically where we're getting at with technology and how it's going to evolve, especially with the Genesis project going on right now. There's a lot of weird things taking place, man. So I tell you what, Andrew, I'll start with you, man. Just kind of, what are your views on what are you feeling, man? What are you feeling?
Oh man. Well, first off, I'm feeling great. Happy to be here with you guys. Yeah, I mean, as far as Edgar Casey, pardon me, goes, R.I.P. David Wilcock, right? He's the reincarnated Edgar Casey, right? So R.I.P. David, right? And what did he talk about? Ascension all the time. And ascension is kind of this whole idea of the resurgence of Atlantis, bringing back this, Christ consciousness, this universal consciousness that we can all tap into. The only way you could do that, though, is ego death. Hence this psychedelic push for, people to kind of do psychedelics and have this ego death, this deprogramming of their culture. I think a big part of this moving and migrating different cultures around to different countries the way they are is to kind of destabilize any cultures that were there so they can kind of help with this ego death of identity, ego death of culture, nations, kind of merge it all together into one. So yeah, I think it all goes into what you're saying, and we see it today all the time with whatever you want to point at.
Yeah, I also think that the title of this is great. PSYOPS and the mystery schools, especially now, because the majority of our news is coming from people who still view the world as country versus country, good versus bad, as if these governments are running the show. And that's not true at all. So you're missing the point when you receive your information like that. These governments are just fronts for these intelligence agencies that are ran by the mystery schools. And there's many different mystery schools, whether it's the Masons, the Kabbalists, the Christian Gnostics, the Rosicrucians, you name it. They're all different expressions of the same Babylonian cult, which includes, polytheism. That's the main thing. So I think it's important that this podcast exists, that we're talking about this stuff, because that's when you truly understand the systems of control. These governments are just fronts.
Yeah. I'm thinking about something you said there in the intro, and it's like, how does Atlantis kind of enter the picture here? Why is it in the title? Why are we going on about Atlantis? Well, Atlantis, although it can be this enigmatic thing to us in the modern world now, is believed by occultists and has been for millennia to be encoded in all the mystery schools. It's like fragments. Like, think of like the Dead Sea Scrolls or something, and we found fragments. Well, that's kind of how they see Atlantis. They say, or they think that, fragments have been withheld within the Masons and within the Rosicrucians and within the Templars, etc. And it's encoded in the mystery schools, Atlantis. That's how it's been kept alive. I think it's maybe, pertinent to break that down. And I think, what Andrew and I were talking about was like Manly P. Hall, because he's kind of this modern spokesperson for this, or was, for our generation and the generations that after him, our modern era. Manly P. Hall passed this information down, but it was like, I think Francis Bacon was another big one who helped pass this down. And then before Bacon, you see these other figures who did their part to pass the fragments of Atlantis down. And I would say Solon was one of them. And you get into Critias from Plato and Solon has gone to Egypt because the Greeks are in trouble. So Solon is sent to Egypt to sort of glean information from them. And they tell him, Solon, you Greeks are never anything but children. There is no old opinion handed down among you. There is no science that is white with age. And it's like the big brother occultist trying to school the younger brother occultist to say, sit down, listen up. We're going to pass this information down to you. And that's how it's been traded. And it flows like a currency through the mystery schools, through the ages. And that's kind of what Atlantis is. I don't know if I just went down the crazy side tangent with that or not, but I think it's kind of pertinent.
No, yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, again, it's about the digitization, this new version. If you read The Secret History of the World, I've kind of went over it a little bit on my show. It's kind of this idea. Alice Bailey talks about it. Helena Blavatsky talks about it. The root races. What that's kind of also establishing is this idea that we started as kind of an etheric being, and then it turned into mineral, then plant being, and then more of kind of this human androgynous. But we had this third eye that was able to see through, pierce through our skull easier because in their eyes, things weren't really material yet. So we were able to like contact, this was when we were in the garden, right? This is their reinterpretation of the evolution of man. And then as it kept going, we got to this material realm where we couldn't access these gods, right? So we started building structures that they could inhabit, geometrically perfect structures like the pyramids, Stonehenge, things like that, where you could create some kind of toroidal energy field with ley lines, etc., to bring these gods into this energy zone to contact them again. Well, it got to the point where you can't even do that, right? Now we're so material where they're taking the material objects and bringing that spirit into them. And that's where we're at today with this AI, this digital Atlantis. This is how it traces back to Atlantis because it's a digital version. It's such a material version that it's now became sentient. And so that's what they tell us with singularity, right? But we can't be this, current version of ourselves in order to join in with that hive mind, right? And so that is the constant psyop generation of changing our attitudes and minds that we see every day.
Yeah, no, spot on, dude. I have this picture up for people that really don't have an understanding of what the root race
Yep,
is
there it is.
pertaining to theosophy. And this illustration does it a lot of good it basically breaks it down visually very well, and it's almost like how biblically you have a Genesis is the beginning and Revelation is the end. Well, theosophy has the first root race and the seventh root race. And from what I can see, guys, is that we're moving from the fifth root race, which is a race of science, language, logic, ego, civilization. It's high intellect, individualism, and like Casey would even describe it that it would be something like how we're constructing all of these towers and these buildings, right? Very high intellectual state of civilization. But if we transition out of that comes, less intellect, more intuitive thinking, and more spiritual based. And I think that what's going to help push humanity into that sixth root race is maybe something coming out of Egypt, historical records that basically say, which would predate the Bible, which would then naturally discredit the Bible because of the law of first mention, and push humanity into metaphysical sciences being a normalized thing, where then that will naturally bring humanity to a spiritual union with all the religions coming together and worshiping God in a perspective where it'll even contribute to creation, right? Like becoming one with creation, which gets into goddess stuff because she's the mother of all living. And what's weird, bro, is right here in the sixth root race, it's a woman uniting the world. AI kind of put that in there. And so that's where I see humanity.
The lady, yeah. If I may, real quick, before just super short, the thing is about the sixth root race that I'm thinking about is this: they're selling compassion and this idea of like telepathy, spiritual harmony with nature. My only hang up on this, if that was occurring through like some kind of spiritual growth that we really had, that'd be one thing. They're saying that this is going to happen through AI singularity. How the hell is that going to happen? What are we talking about? So yeah,
well,
so that's where I'm at. Go ahead.
Well, it seems like it would be an artificial spiritual growth. I mean,
Mhm.
right now with some of the implants, you can see how they can control like mouses on screens and stuff like that. And I think further generations of that, when we start putting these things into our brains, we might be able to communicate with each other if another person has a computer chip in their brain. I mean, if we can communicate with an actual computer,
Yeah.
why can't we communicate with somebody else? So this evolution they're talking about would be the artificial evolution of man, their interpretation of it, right?
Counterfeit, yeah.
Well, that's the trajectory we're on for sure with technology. It's this year, late this year, they might already be out. I'll have to double check. But Sam Altman's Sweet Pea device that he's wanting to put out there. It's like, I've got these black in-ears in right now, but this one is going to be a similar concept. But I think it loops around and it clips onto the ear, and from everything I can tell from how they're marketing it, it's meant to be worn basically at all times. You see these guys in the grocery store with their talking to whoever, walking around having a conversation out loud, and they've got the blue, whatever that is in. I think it's hopefully it's. I mean, I don't know. It's not going to be that crazy, I don't think. But anyway, I think what it's meant to do is just strengthen your connection to your phone, and it's going to utilize AI. And I think you'll be able to find less and less reason to actually look at the phone. Like you'll connect with the thing. It'll be on at all times. You'll talk to it. You'll communicate with it, and then it will, connect you to the internet. And then at that point, I think if you have glasses, you can have glasses that show you a screen and all that, and you can do all this verbally. I don't know if I'm doing a good job of explaining it. I'm probably not, but I think that's how we progress into, the way I think about it is if you're wearing Sam Altman's Sweet Pea and you've got that thing on for 3 years, at that point, a lot of people are going to be like, I don't see why not just get the chip. Give me the chip. I'm already connected to this thing 24/7 anyway.
That was Elon's thing, was that, it's an extension of you, the phone, and it's already a part of you. And so the idea is to now merge it with you. That's kind of his selling point from here to there. There's a bridge they need to gap. And they're trying to get you to consciously bridge that gap before they can physically do it for you with the technology. So you already have to consent consciously that is the truth. This phone is an extension of me. When and then I can merge with it. It's way more convenient to do all the things I do on my phone, get everything done, talk to people, whatever. It becomes that easy, logical step once you sell it that way.
I also wonder if they're going to use Hegelian dialect in order for them to manifest this wish, right? Problem, reaction, solution. And they're selling this AI, they're selling these chips under the guise of altruism. Like, it can heal you. Look at this man's going to walk. This blind man can see. And I wonder, we know that, and at least within my belief, they're trying to manufacture the biblical end of days. And we're going to see a lot of injured people over the next 5 to 7 years. I wonder at that point, if you're maimed or something like that, it'd be a lot easier for you to accept the chip if they promise you to walk again. If you're blinded, it'd be a lot easier to accept the chip if you can't see. So I wonder if they're going to deploy that kind of tactic when ushering this out.
Yeah. Now I've had these thoughts too, right? Because Revelation chapter 6, the seals, right? They reflect what basically is happening in the beginning of Matthew 24. And if no one's familiar with that, it's almost like when Matthew 24, it's where it's where the disciples are like, Lord, what are the signs of your coming? Jesus literally tells them the signs of his second coming. And it's basically wars, rumors of wars, earthquakes, pestilences, famines, all kinds. It just sounds like the end of the world. In Revelation chapter 6, it's the lamb, right? The lamb being Jesus it has the power to open up the seals, and there's 7 seals. And within each seal comes, like a rider of the apocalypse, right? You got the white horse, the pale horse, the black horse, red horse. I think that's what it is. But anyways, each one of these horsemen carries something that just brings catastrophe to earth. And I'm trying to figure out, right? I believe that God's in control of all of it. But here in this realm, it may look like, or the narrative could be that these elites, right, the dark hats, the dark forces, are the ones, uh, initiating all of this end of the world cataclysm, which ties in well with Edgar Casey's work of why Atlantis was destroyed in the first place. It's because it was the sons of Belial that used the technology and ended up destroying the civilization, which naturally would push humanity to revolt against the sons of Belial and then move towards the sons of the law of one, which is that false light deception. And so how this matches well with Alice Bailey's work is that she says that it's going to be the Maitreya, right, who basically is getting his power from Sanat Kumara, which is the Lord of this world, according to Bailey's work. And him and his hierarchy, the Maitreya and his hierarchy, will lead humanity out of this chaotic world and into a new world. And so it's all just talking about the same thing. It's like a fabricated fallout where the savers of humanity will kind of rise out of it like a lotus flower, and humanity will just follow the shepherd into this golden age, the age of Aquarius. I don't know if what y'all thoughts on that is.
Yeah, Casey also spoke to what Ezekiel was describing. Everybody's familiar with the wheels between wheels. And of course, this is Casey's interpretation, but he said that that was tech from Cain Atlantis. And so I think, that's his interpretation of it. But I think if you actually do look at the Bible, and there's another verse that's coming to mind. I think Ben actually showed me this one. It's Daniel 2:42 through 43. And it's like, I pulled it up just in case. It's as the toes of the feet were part iron and part clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly brittle, as you saw the iron mixed with clay. So they will mix with one another in marriage, but they will not hold together, just as iron does not mix with clay. And in the days of those kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom that shall never be destroyed. And when you get into the Hebrew of that, this is where it gets interesting to me. And it says that they will mix the seed. How do they word it? They'll mingle with men that are not of man. So it's like man mixing with something that's not human. Like what came to mind was transhuman, cybernetic, robotic sort of things.
Yeah, and that was sorry, go on.
No, that was it. I just want to add that that's my interpretation, but it definitely makes me think of it's man mixing with the seed, not of man. The Hebrews worded a little differently, but you get the point, right?
Yeah, and I just wanted to point out that according to Daniel 2, this is the final empire that is going to rule over us. And you kind of see that happening with this transhumanist push, this unnatural evolution of man, where they kind of want to turn us into cyborgs and hook us up to the hive mind, possibly a digital demon called AI. So yeah, it's definitely interesting, especially when you look into the Hebrew and the Greek. There's definitely a difference in seed and the humans that are going on there.
Yeah. Steven, I sent you something on X. If you want to look at that while we were talking, we were kind of close to the Elon conversation. There's something I saw just yesterday about something interesting kind of related to what we were talking about. But also, it's funny they dumbed down the Christian version, isn't it? You go look at the Hebrew, it tells you exactly what they're saying. But, Christian version's like, oh, iron, clay mixed together. We're just talking about the different generations. It's just talking about the kingdoms. It's not talking about actually mixing these things together, right? But of course, the Hebrew is kind of where it came from, and it has more of the truth in it. I just think that's interesting.
Yeah, you want me to play this?
So in this is Elon Musk gave a warning on Lex Fridman's show, I guess, and they kind of lay it out, but apparently it was deleted. So I don't know where else to find it. So we might have to listen to a little bit of it, but I think it has something to do with the future of AI and kind of what we're talking about with Elon Musk and stuff. So I was curious, maybe if you wanted to check it out. It's up to you.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so let me bring this up real quick. Very interesting, dude. And that's what I think is what the Genesis project is trying to do. I think it's trying to evolve artificial intelligence and integrate it with science. And then once it's integrated with science, then comes, because with science comes education. But the next thing after that would be religion, in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh, this quickly becomes a religion. Here's a quote from Simon Puerto. He said, Prometheus did not create fire out of nothing, for it already pre-existed in the natural world. He merely stole it from the gods and taught men how to kindle it. Thus, man is at once natural and supernatural. Natural because he operates within the given world, and supernatural because he can bend that world to his purposes. That's what they're trying to do. That's their technocratic religion.
Wow. That's a great quote, that he got it from the gods. And that's, I mean, if you look at all the technological revolutions over the past 200-300 years, I think it was all leading up to this. And the question is, where do they get this information from? And when you start diving into it, a lot of these people are huge occultists, and they're probably channeling it from either demons or fallen gods within that spiritual realm. So yeah, I think there's a huge parallel between that quote, Prometheus, and what these technocrats are doing today.
Well, they're always getting their information from the hierarchy. You know, they come by many different names, but they're beings that they tap into through maybe Akashic record or cosmic memory, transcending into those areas. Like even Alice Bailey was known to get her writings from Dijwal Cole, which is like this ascending master. She even had Sanat Kumara like appear to her like a being of light, which kind of looks like a Pleiadian, by the way. And it's so on and so forth, right? Like this is just how they get their information and their downloads and all this kind of stuff. All right, so I'll play this out.
Nice.
This is from Julian Dory, the Lex Friedman, Elon Musk 2027 AI warning conversation was deleted. An AI conversation involving Elon Musk and Lex Friedman left a lot of people unsettled because the deeper they went into the future of AI, the darker the implications started sounding.
So this was a rehash of some things that Elon said in a Lex Friedman interview. And there's something in the tweet where they say some lines were deleted. I don't know if that means he like YouTube editor it or something, but if you go to the top, I just want to, after 2027, there will be no way back.
What's up?
Oh, I was just saying you can hold it down too if he goes slow to make it double speed. If you
I got you. I'll move it up here a little bit.
But he seems like he talks a little fast. I don't listen to him. He may talk fast. I know if you put me on double
podcast.
Yeah, if you put me on double speed, you're gonna have a problem. You're gonna have a problem, dude. I'm gonna be speaking tongues real fast.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, dude.
Let's see how it sounds.
A line that was later cut. When asked why, he fell silent for almost a minute.
Fuck, that's a scary minute.
Then he quietly said, shout out to Lex for letting him sit there with that. That's pretty heavy. Then he quietly said, it's not a catastrophe, it's a transition. The transcript left behind 3 themes that gave him away: autonomous intelligence, loss of meaning, and energy independence. It all sounded like a forecast, but now reads like a diagnosis of the era. The first sign is the collapse of attention. Musk said humanity will stop thinking in cycles. Planning for the future will shrink to the horizon of updates. That line hits me hard. People will stop building and start simply replacing. MIT research confirms a generation born after 2000 holds attention for about 8 seconds, less than a goldfish. I used to say that to Alessi, but he's gotten a lot better now. Musk called this cultural Alzheimer's. We're not losing memory, we're losing the ability to think. The second sign is artificial intelligence that no longer obeys. Musk says when a system starts correcting humans, that time of linear logic is over. Even now, algorithms decide who we date, what we buy, and what we think about. This isn't a machine uprising, it's dissolution into convenience. People won't notice the moment when choice becomes an option, not a right. The third sign is energy dependence. Musk explains civilization can no longer survive even a day without electricity. By 2027, here it is, in his view, the balance will shift. Energy will become currency and control over it will become power. From that moment on, everything non-autonomous will disappear. This isn't an apocalypse, it's a change of biological form. At the end,
we could pause it.
That's the shit.
He's in the AI thing, it sounds like. But he's describing the dark enlightenment. That's all I wanted to point out about that, is just this idea. Everybody's talking about the dark enlightenment, but people aren't really, they're not defining it. And it's kind of driving me crazy. It's kind of irritating me a little bit, because have you heard the dark enlightenment defined once? Just curious before I do.
No.
Not once,
well,
right?
I think I've heard Courtney Turner talk about it.
And she describes it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder if she describes it like this. So the idea is that AI doesn't live or experience reality like we do. We're humans. We can apply the scientific method to our senses and experience reality here, right? AI is telling us about our reality based off of its computer programs. And the longer we go with this, the more we degenerate our own ability to think, which leads to this dark enlightenment. And so part of that dark enlightenment movement is this Curtis Yarvin. Now, look, this is a different definition of it, but if you look at Henry Kissinger's Genesis book that he wrote with the Google CEO, in that book, he describes what I'm saying. That's the dark enlightenment, this idea that we are going to degenerate our own thought process by outsourcing our thinking to these machines that don't actually experience reality the way we do. Therefore, we are going to degenerate our thought process by outsourcing it, but then it will think for us. See what I mean? That's what I'm trying to say. So then we have to plug into this hive mind because we're going to have no knowledge, right? So this dark enlightenment is also necessary to make us susceptible to a hive mind and need the hive mind. We'll rely on it.
And J.D. Vance even, and some others have quoted Yarvin. So I want to point that out. Like, you know, I thought, who is this guy? But his influence has far-reaching tentacles, apparently.
Yeah,
Vice
that was
President
my first
quoting him.
Yeah, that's my first point about him was that he doesn't have a blue check mark. I just wanted to point that out. He doesn't have a blue check mark, but all these guys that are movers and shakers of the world follow him. But he has no blue check mark. You don't even barely know who he is, right? That was interesting to me whenever I found him.
You know, it's really interesting.
That's it.
Oh, go on. I was go on. Sorry.
Go ahead, Ben.
Oh, no, you're in the middle of a sentence. Go ahead.
No, I think I was just going to comment on that. That's what I was trying to say, and you said it much better. It's like a lot of people don't know who this guy is, but you know, people in big positions know exactly who he is. These CEOs that are trying to take over the world right now know exactly who he is, and he has these openly racist theories. I've seen interviews with him on a park bench saying stuff about, you know, kind of patting the British Empire on the back for some of their atrocities. And he said other things too, you know, and we've not been in this techno era very long yet. Already these guys are trying to change where we're at. You know, they're trying to push, they're constantly trying to push this zeitgeist forward. They're trying to bring in the spirit of the time, and it's ever changing. It's ever changing like AI. There's constantly updates happening, and they're trying to just keep pushing us and bring in, you know, this spirit, whatever this is. I think that the spirit is something akin to what Gordy Rose was talking about, that his black monolith supercomputers were getting in touch with, these other worldly extra, whatever they are, extra dimensional. I'm trying to remember. He called them Lovecraftian entities. They have no sort of love for us whatsoever. They're so alien to us. Anyway, you know, what are they trying to bring in? And I think it's pertinent to bring up Yarvin because it's a philosophy, and I call this the Promethean overman philosophy, because I think when you look into these guys, there's a Nazi influence too. I would say that there's one present with Teal. And this seems like there's one present with Yarvin as well. And Praxis, those guys that run Praxis, there was that leak recently that said, oh, the guys who run this country are in the Nazi occultism. So there's always that. And that's where I include the overman thing, where the Nazis got that from Nietzsche, but it seems like it's coming back in a big way right now. Man is something that shall be overcome. Man is a rope. You know, he's tied between beast and overman, a rope over an abyss, you know, but it connects. It's a bridge. It's the transhuman bridge.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I was watching Yuval Noah Harari talk at the World Economic Forum, and he described something very interesting. And he was alluding to the fact that it's just inevitable that AI is going to replace us because it has mastered the human language better than we can. He made the point, the reason that humans were at the top of the food chain is because we were able to master English or any other language, and that's what put us above all these other animals.
Israeli.
Yeah, well, look at that guy. He definitely power. But he says for the first time, humans will have to compete with a entity that knows the human language better than us. So if that's the case, I can totally see how our cognitive abilities are going to just go by the wayside as this AI gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And I don't think we've even seen the beginning of it. Don't think that these chatbot, you know, GPT, you know, apps are, the latest and greatest, especially with the building of these data centers. This AI is going to grow exponentially. I just watched a video on it. Maybe it was a little bit of fear porn, but I think we're going there. So I definitely see this accelerationism happening, and our mental faculties and our ability to communicate and think, I think, are going to disintegrate.
That's a great point, man. Well, I mean, Yuval Noah Harari also wrote a book called Homo Deus, and it's pretty much a brief history of tomorrow by Yuval Noah Harari explores the future of humanity, focusing on how technology like AI and genetic engineering could upgrade humans into godlike beings. That's New Age, by the way, potentially leading to new forms of inequality and the obsolescence of Homo sapiens as we know them.
Well, I'll be buying that.
Wow. Yeah. No, I mean, it's out.
I'll be getting that.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
That'd be something to pick apart too, because I'm sure there's a lot said in there that
Absolutely. I mean, it all, this, and I've been getting a lot of pushback lately about this. So I'd love to hash this out with you guys a little bit, because it relates to this as well. I've been talking about Alexander Dugin and this traditionalist movement a lot, right? Because it leads into this Atlantean kind of thinking, even though he names it America in the West Atlanticism, and he wants Eurasianism to take over. He wants a resurgence of the metaphysical order that ruled Atlantis to come back. So I know it's kind of inverted, but he does want Atlantis to come back. But this guy also follows Crowley. We talked about this, Stephen, a little bit. But I've been getting a lot of pushback by talking about the Orthodox Christianity being used by people like him to usher in this one world religion. And people, I've gotten pushback on a couple shows about this. So I just want to point out like what I mean, just really quick, and then see what you guys think about this. So it has a deep mystical tradition, the Eastern Orthodoxy, right? Like Sufism and Buddhism. And so what I'm saying is that the perennialist, right, can kind of reinterpret and detach Christ from this idea of theosis that you get from the Orthodox Church. You get theosis through Christ in the Orthodox Church. They call it that, theosis. Very similar to gnosis. If you remove Christ, or if you involve Christ as a consciousness that you obtain through theosis, it now becomes Gnosticism. So Orthodox Christianity can be used very easily to usher in this new world religion through like a consciousness evolution teaching, spiritual ascension, or awakening through Christ consciousness, where they kind of keep Christ there, but they kind of say it's through Christ, but it's a consciousness we all obtain. So I'm trying to point that out, that people like Dugin follow that, but he also follows Crowley. So what do you think about that? You know what I mean? So I'm just trying to point that out to people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think that's apt. Crowley shows up in this for me too. What it is there's a technocratic occultism underbelly to this. And for me, it's undeniable. I can't unsee it, that sort of thing. And it's these philosophical tech bro thinkers that are sort of leading the charge. Even some of them don't even have the blue check, but they're still, making big, huge ripples. It's, Curtis Yarvin, Nick Land. There's another one I found out about recently, Anthony Lewandowski. He was pardoned by Trump recently. He had a full-blown church, like a cult group to an AI god. Strange group. Nick Land. Speaking of Crowley, moving his followers into one of Crowley's old houses for a while before he disappeared over in China for a while, which is China. Yeah. China quietly went from communism to, they call themselves a technocracy now. That happened sometime after 2000. So that's where he went and resurfaced over there. But anyway, you've got,
and Dugin cites this guy, and so does Curtis Yarvin. Curtis Yarvin, Dugin, they all cite this guy. So the traditionalist movement and this accelerationist movement and the Dark Enlightenment are all connected. So Candace Owens follows Dugin. Heather Lynn, the Dr. Heather Lynn that came out, she follows Dugin. Tucker Carlson follows Dugin. So there's a lot of people that are very major, getting a lot of people to listen to them and exposing a lot of truths that are leading them into this Dugin traditionalist philosophy, which brings them to Christ, but it's not the real Christ. It's exactly what you're talking about, Stephen. And this is kind of, I see it coming through this Dugin philosophy that's coming from this Orthodox Russian, like Christian church, whatever you want to call it. It's crazy. So sorry, I had to interject on that.
One more thing. I think you're spot on. What do they worship though at the Orthodox Church as well as the Roman Orthodox Church? The Queen of Heaven.
I was going to say,
right.
Stephen answer that.
Yep.
Right. So it makes sense that, and I've always believed it, and I probably said it a billion times on this show, political Zionism needs to fall in order for them to manufacture this prophecy. And within biblical prophecy, what is the God of, what is, I guess you could say, the Abrahamic face replaced with? Well, it's replaced with, what's it called? The Queen of Heaven, right? This mystery Babylon. So it makes perfect sense that orthodoxy of the different flavors that worship the Queen of Heaven are going to replace what we currently have.
Yeah, and honestly, dude, I think I think it's going to be the goddess in some sort of way. I don't know exactly how that's going to look. No one does, but we can pull together the information that we're laying out and go, it's got to in some way, some sort of entity, some sort of plasma, some sort of dark energy of the universe, whatever Kabbalah terms that they're going to develop and throw at us to try and get us to understand it scientifically. They're ushering in their God. And it makes me think that there's a form here that, I've talked about this on Tim's show, but it's called, this was published by the World Economic Forum, February 15th, 2022, and it's Advancing Digital Agency, the Power of Data Intermediaries. Basically, this whole entire thing talks about the integration of screenless technology into everyday life, the data ecosystem, is growing increasingly complicated. New ambient data collection methods bring many benefits, but they also have the potential to amplify mistrust between people and technology. And so I think with the world getting so chaotic, in which it's going to get even more chaotic, we can already see the Discordianism throughout culture and society right now, and we could see it on a geopolitical level between all of the countries. If it gets so bad, there has to be some sort of God that they can bring in that is not biased to any side, right? That it's neutral amongst all. And I think that in some sort of way, the harlot, the goddess, is going to be this central location that operates through all AI technology and is Lady Justice. I mean, if you look into that iconography, it's the goddess with one arm holding the scales up and the other arm is holding a sword and it's pointing down. And basically, it's reflecting what we see in movies, the movie Mercy, right? The movie Mercy is about a guy on trial, but his judge, jury, and executioner is a woman, an AI image right in front of him. And behind her is a quantum computer. Okay. And it's intense. And I saw on X Objection posted a video here, and I'll see if I can maybe get it and bring it up. But it basically it showed so much symbolism in it. It showed a Tower of Babel in it. It showed Lady Justice walking around with lions, right? It showed that she was kind of connected to quantum computers, which looked like D-Wave quantum computers in some sort of way. They were just black square boxes, which has some connections to the Kaaba, and then even more goddess connections with Al-Lat, right, being one of the pagan goddesses before Mecca and Muslims and all this monotheistic religion. But anyways, that's what I think it's also going to come and serve. And I even think I remember reading something. I think it was the Club of Rome. They were talking about a perfect dictator, and the perfect dictator would not be human. It would be something that would be neutral amongst all nations, tongues, religions, everything. And I don't know, maybe that's what, obviously they want to plug us into it, right? Like, would you guys say that that's something a part of?
To your point, to your point real quick, with the CCRU, which is Nick Land's, cybernetics, whatever, CCRU is what it's called. They think that a schizophrenic is somebody who's a post-human actor, right? Somebody who has a fragmented ego. So therefore, they're actually closer to this new man that they're trying to create than somebody like us, right? Because they're already have that fractured ego. They're already easier to kind of plug into this kind of ideology of hive mind, whatever, right? I think this is the perpetuation of drug addiction. I think that leads into the perpetuation of obviously chemical-induced psychosis. Maybe that's why they're legalizing marijuana. If that's the case, maybe they're trying to induce more schizophrenia, a little bit more of these things, right? I mean, I could say that I was, I've had issues with that. So like, I don't know, man, there's something to that.
Well, you take the
You know,
drugs
it
and
could go both ways, though. You could have it go positive too.
Well, they were deceived by their sorcery, right? In Revelation. I
Mhm.
mean,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
You take the drugs and you see the entities. You get in touch with the entities. What you know, I think many of us, if we were to have an open and candid conversation about that, might have experiences of our own in the past.
Mm.
You know, and I don't promote this stuff, but I've touched the spirit world, you could say, and I'm not promoting it. You know, I'm just saying like this is what people are doing with the ayahuasca trips and all that. It's about making that contact. But I had to throw something in because of Lady Justice, man. I gotta say this. That's also Estrella. Okay. And it's I just pulled it up. The Roman name for the goddess was Justitia. Deeply connected to Estrella in mythology. Estrella is the ancient Greek goddess of innocence, purity, and justice. In the Greek myth, Estrella lived among humans on Earth during the Utopian Golden Age.
Australia is a play on Australia.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Is Australia?
Yeah, so hold on. So hold on. What utopia? Utopian occult philosophic empire. What is that? Where do we get that idea from? New Atlantis. Musk says he reads a passage out of New Atlantis from Francis Bacon every week. Musk's grandpa started or revived technocracy in the 30s, along with Huxley and some professors at Columbia. That's the utopian part. The golden age
you
part.
left that out last night. I didn't know Musk reads New Atlantis every day.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Get
Well,
out of here. That's crazy.
He says he put out a tweet about reading a passage from it maybe it was every week, like once every week, I think is what it was, to be fair. But I meant to say every week, but yeah. But then you get the golden age part. That Australia long been associated with the golden age, and the people who started our country knew this. Now I'm working on something right now. I won't go all the way into it because I want to do a big reveal on the show. And the founding fathers, though, were heavily using the Estrella symbology down to the signing of the Constitution in Virgo, because Virgo is Estrella. It's the same goddess.
I know what you're touching on. I remember reading I know exactly. I think I know what you're talking about. Did you read that from Manly P.All. as well, or did you find somebody else who talked about that? His own diaries?
No, I found this out in research.
Because I know he wrote it in his diaries, Washington, about the stuff you're talking about. I remember somebody was talking about reading I think I read it third hand from somebody who read his diaries that talked about what you're speaking about. So I'm familiar with I think I know what you're saying. Is this a play? Is that what Australia is? Is that a play on Australia? Same thing? Is that what
well, a lot of the countries are like Europe is based off of Europa, the goddess. So yeah.
Well, look at this. Look at this.
Colombia.
It says Australia flag with statue of lady, but if you look at it, it's the same thing as the Australia. It's the same lady, and it's one letter off. So that's.
I have a question. Was Sir Francis Bacon a Rosicrucian?
Yeah,
absolutely. He also started the Order of the Quest, which is like Benjamin Franklin was a part of that. So we got the founding fathers that are establishing the new Atlantis by starting the Constitution. That's why when they asked, what did you do there? He said, your freedom, if you can keep it, right? Because the whole, it's an experiment to see if we're worthy of our freedoms that they gave us, right? But then the whole thing is like a tug of war to take it from us right after they give it, right? So wild.
Wow. I'm trying to find this objection video, dude. I gotta show it to you. It's Lady Justice walking around, dude, with lions, and it's like talking about, this. It's not talking about it, but all the symbolism screams everything that we're kind of talking about. It's wild, dude. Oh, I found it.
I'll tell you one thing real quick, Stephen. What you're describing about a man sitting in front of a digital judge with a quantum computer powering it might sound far-fetched, but I'm sure the people who are watching movies in the 70s said the same thing, and we have that today. So don't think that that's not their plan, and that's what's going to come.
Yeah, I'll pull up a picture of it right now, actually. It's quite interesting, man. Let me get it. It's right here. Here we go. Yeah, that's her right there. Come on.
Oh, I saw this movie.
Yeah. So behind her is a upside down chandelier quantum computer looking thing.
Yeah.
And that's her, the judge, jury, and she's about to kill this guy if he doesn't prove himself not guilty within a certain time frame. You know, and what does the Bible say? Like, in these days, like, they will turn you into the councils, right? Like, they will, like, you know, if you're not in with this shift, then you're going to be captured and turned in. I think that's why Jesus is telling us to run when we see these things happening. Like, when you see this, run. Don't even go into your house if you're on top of your roof. Like, if you're already out in the wilderness, like, don't go back to get all of your things. Go get into the mountains and flee. It's wild stuff, man. Wild stuff. I found that video, but go ahead, guys.
You know, I could comment on so much right now because we could take this a lot of different places. The Rosicrucian angle, I think, is interesting. There is a huge presence of the Rosicrucians in the founding of this country. And it's not just them. I mean, of course, they were working hand in hand, I believe, with Masons and with Templars. And we're starting to find that they were working with these other lesser known orders like the Order of the Quest. This, you know, Andrew's telling me stuff about Order of the Quest that I'm finding interesting because I'm finding stuff on that too. And we're just coming together and bringing new angles. You know, I found that it's Manly P. Hall talks about it. And also Bill Cooper talks about it. And Bill Cooper says that the ancestry of the Bush family is heavily involved with the Order of the Quest. And then you get into his speeches where he seems to echo this sort of thing. The old man Bush talks about the New World Order. And then the young Bush talks about acting on an ancient hope that was meant to be fulfilled. Our founding fathers, when they started the country, were acting on an ancient hope that's meant to be fulfilled. And that's when you get into what he's actually talking about there. It's New Atlantean philosophy. It all comes out of Bacon, who was a strong Rosicrucian. All this stuff is just baked in the country. But I think it's interesting to tie in the Nazi occult element to this too, because that sounds kind of crazy as well. But when you get into it, where did that come from? The Nazi occult element, or Nazi occultism in general, develops out of these New Age thinkers, these prominent New Age thinkers like Blavatsky, Edward Bullard Lytton, who wrote the Real Energy book, William Westcott, who actually helped start a lot of what would become, you know, German occultism and that politicized and turned into the Nazi Party. Some of Gurdjieff's work. That's the Nazis took what they liked from all these New Age thinkers, which, you know, we consider them New Age today. I don't know what they considered them there. It was like more like turn of the century, an occult revolution. But anyway, they took all that and they you know, turned it into what's happening right now. And that's why I think it's interesting to bring up Praxis, that company that's rumored to be, you know, the leak. I mentioned that, like, it said that employees have come out and said, you know, the people who run this country are into Nazi occultism. Well, who's the people that run that company? It's funded by Theo. It's funded by Sam Altman. It's Sam Bankman-Fried and the Winklevoss twins
and the Apollo Group, all of them. Yeah, and this is sorry, go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead.
I'll finish it. If I could boil everything I just said down into one little statement, it's the influence of occultism is really there. It's just we've been trained not to see it. We've been sort of programmed not to see this, but it's always there.
Absolutely. Yeah. In Praxis, for those who aren't familiar, you know, if maybe you're not familiar with this either, so this might be a bad reference point, but Patchwork.
How's it spelled? Sorry, I want to try and bring it up.
P-R-A-X-I. You have to type a tech city. You have to do tech city after that.
Yeah.
Or city at least. And what it is it's CEOs ran cities, right? So just like Curtis Yarvin describes a patchwork system, little patches ran by CEO kings, ran like CEOs or corporations. That's what Praxis is. So these are test ran cities for what, you know, Curtis Yarvin talks about making eventually. So it almost seems like they're getting it ready for doing it on a broader scale. And we talked about the symbol last night, like 1,000 points of light coming out.
It's like the black sun, dude.
Yeah,
That's
exactly. It's the inverted black sun with 1,000 points of light coming out, the rays being black, right? And so that is, it's exactly what it is.
Yeah, I've been calling it a modified black sun because that's what I
Yeah.
thought too, Stephen. As soon as I
Inverted.
saw it.
Yeah. And look at the way the X is even, you know, if you look at the X, it's very much like the, just like
That's
the
the-
algebraic numerology style.
That's the ancient hooked X.
There you
It's
go,
been
yeah.
around for a long time. I mean, it's debatable what it means, but it's long been associated with pagan religion and just old god stuff.
So
oh
I got
my gosh.
Steven looks like he wants to say something, so I don't want to interrupt. But I did get up to grab something I want to show you guys in a minute. So go ahead, Steven. What are you thinking, dude? You look
No,
like you
so
got
I'm connecting Alice Bailey's work to this of the 7 rays of light. The 7 rays of light is that idea of the sun, you know, like that sun worship, the black sun as well, all that kind of stuff. And it's like this, it's the rainbow. That's the 7 rays of light, you know, and that rainbow to the new age is transformation. Like that's why it's on this book by Constance Cumby.
Yeah.
The dangers of the rainbow.
Well, you know who wore a rainbow necklace? Lilith.
Wow. Dude, the standard development goals for the United Nations is a symbol of a rainbow in a circle.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's all weird.
So
and me and Ben went over the fact that Genesis, the cover of it, was pretty much this with a rainbow coming out. Instead of these rays, it was rainbow rays. So the same exact symbol. So it all connects with that. And I like that you said 7, because what I went and picked up, this big ass thing, this is the Golden Dawn right here. This is a literal book that these Hermetic Rosicrucians use.
William Westcott.
Aleister Crowley studied out of this. Look how big this monster is right here.
Oh my gosh.
So look at this, dude. So look at this. Check this out. Does that look familiar to you?
Oh my goodness, dude.
Come on, dude.
That
So
almost looks like the crown of fortification, bro, like on top of the goddess's head.
Yeah, exactly. It's full of everything in here is a ritual. So the neophyte, you know, stands here. He's stumbling between the pillars, is blindfolded. So they do rituals to reenact what's written in here. So, for instance, stumbling on between the pillars is a blindfolded figure. So they would have the initiate do this to reenact what they're saying, so they could generate this energy to try to initiate themselves into this kind of. This is what they do. They do under certain moonlights. They have certain symbols that they always have. The whole thing's geometric. The whole thing is it's very interesting the way that they lay out the alphabet. You know, the letter A is for air, the letter B is for Mercury, the letter G is for moon. So you've got all this crazy, you know what I'm saying? It gets wild, man. So
that's why I
deep into their ideology here with this stuff.
I literally included that guy's name a minute ago. The guy who co-founded the Golden Dawn is William Westcott. He's in that milieu of people with Blavatsky and Edward Boiler Lytton that shaped the modern world. This shaped everything. Like it brought in, you know, it'd take a long time to break it down, but it was the foundation for the Nazi Party and what they believed too. So
it's all about geometry.
It's
all about nature. It's about manipulation in nature through perfect geometry, sacred geometry, doing certain things on certain moonlights with certain elements, like a certain crystal or blood or water or fire. These are all the different things they do. And that's all it is. And that's what all this is about. And again, when you talk about they had power over the forces, we're talking about the forces in nature, right? What does God say? I'm not of this world. Don't be of this world. These people are the opposite. They're so of this world. They know how to manipulate the world because they're so in it. So yeah. And the guy who started it was called Israel Regardi. I mean, come on, man.
You know, I find interesting. It's, and you pointed out earlier, occultism is powering all of this stuff. And within the occult, what are they doing? They're channeling these demons. They're channeling these fallen gods. And it's literally all of them. You know, I view the system of control made up of different occultic groups, but it's like an engine. Each one is responsible for a certain piece of it to make the entire engine run smoothly. So that's why you see this dabbling, you know, this overlapping of agendas, why they might fight with each other. Ultimately, it's all occultism. It's all being, you know, initiated from this spiritual realm, which they practice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Precision needs his flowers in the chat, man. He said it a couple times. So Lex Friedman used to interview all kinds of AI CEOs, and all of them talk about talking to Moloch by name, talking about Moloch by name. And he said it a few times, so I just want to give him his flowers. Like, that's true, man. Just like Ben says, these guys, dude, they all channel this stuff to get this. Just like Carl Jung said, you have to, your mind is a receiver, and you have to transmute your mind to a certain, you know, transmission so you can receive the knowledge.
Well, it's why
Yeah,
God told
for
us
sure.
to keep every thought captive. We don't know what are our own thoughts. We don't know if our thoughts are coming from the Holy Spirit. We don't know if they're coming from demons or fallen angels, which is why we have to test everything against Scripture.
Wow. You know what I'm thinking? How the goddess gets mixed into this, right? Is like that thought of free energy in all of this, which, by the way, Donald Trump, the Q movement, all of it's connected. I can show you right here on basically Satan's playbook, which this is the Great Awakening map. But you have the Q psyop here, and a part of that is release of free energy. But when you move it up and you connect it to here, it goes into 0 point energy, which apparently, right, like we're being gate kept by a bunch of prison planet organizations and all of this, right? It's all part of the Great Awakening psyop, right? All part of that stuff to ultimately connect us and return us to source. Okay. And that source, look, you even have the rainbow body of Tibetan Buddhism here connecting to source. That's that transformation. That's that rainbow. Ride the rainbow, you know? The rainbow also connects to the goddess as well. But the one thing too about all of this free energy, Tesla was obsessed with free energy, and that's why he built Tesla coils and all this kind of stuff to manipulate it and to take the dark energy of the atmosphere, which you can't see, you can't measure, you can't calculate. It's something that is an occult practice. It's even, goes all the way back to Kabbalah teachings. But when it says in Daniel chapter 11, verse 38, the Antichrist honors the God of forces. That God of forces means fortifications, but I can also take it for the English version and think of it as forces. Now, forces would be like the ether, right? Would be like what basically is holding creation together. It's almost like the currency of creation, if that's what you want to call it. But it all connects to the goddess. I mean, even Tesla, who was obsessed with that idea, he was also obsessed with the goddess. He wanted society to be ran like a hive mind. He wanted the society of humanity to be a matriarchy over a patriarchy. And he ultimately wanted society to be ran by a queen bee. That's the allegory he was pushing of how society will only be able to thrive. That queen bee allegory is directly connected to Isis in Egypt. When you look at all the iconography of Isis in Egypt, it's all queen bee stuff, all of this. That goes back to the idea of Revelation 17 with the harlot being this central hub for all of the nations, because it's a city, right? The harlot is a city, right? And the whole world fornicates with it, drinks from her cup, right? That word there's like porneia, right? So it's like kind of like a fornication concept to it. The 10 kings are also submitting to the harlot and fornicating with her as well. So it's almost like this idea of some sort of life force energy becoming personified and being a god that even the Antichrist will honor. And I think why he honors it, and I'm speculating here a little bit based off of scripture and everything that's in my mind, like a filing cabinet. I think he's honoring the god of forces ultimately because that's how he was raised from the grave in this counterfeit resurrection. Because the goddess is known for doing that and having that purpose. Like Kabeli, Isis, I mean, I can go on and on. They're all about regenerating their consort, either by redoing the birth process of it or by raising the spirit of her consort from the underworld. And it all ties into like this idea of this force being responsible for maybe raising this Antichrist from the dead. I don't know, man. I don't know what your thoughts on that are.
So you said he wanted society to essentially be ran by this goddess figure, like a queen bee hive mind thing. And so speaking to channeling, because that's come up, and speaking to this goddess connection, I've got to mention, because I don't think I mentioned this last night on our show, Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
Bacon created a secret group called the Knights of the Helmet as well. And I'm going on about Bacon because he helped. Thomas Jefferson spoke to Francis Bacon as being the true founder of America. So he's
Yep.
significant, and he writes the New Atlantis, where I think technocracy itself comes from. That's my personal theory, and I could break that down.
When women is boss Tesla. Oh wow. I
But
didn't know that.
so he creates the Knights of the Helmet. It's a goddess group. Okay. It's an Athena reference. William Shakespeare, Bacon is said to be Shakespeare, right? William Shakespeare is an Athena reference. But what they did was, in this group, they venerated Athena and they pledged allegiance to Athena. And then you find that Bacon, in his cipher writings, describes hearing a divine voice who inspired him to secrecy and told him, hide from applause, write a book under a pseudonym, essentially, write history into enigmatic writings and cunning mixtures of theater, like Shakespeare, cunning mixtures of theater with a historical angle to it, right? He's saying that he got this from this divine voice. So he's into the goddess. He hears a voice and he does what he was told to do. It's the same story and over again. It was Francis Bacon / William Shakespeare told to do this stuff because of the divine feminine,
And I'll tell you one thing. Tesla is like 1 degree of separation from Aleister Crowley as well. They had a mutual friend who was some poet named, I looked this up, George Sylvester Viverick or whatever. And he's even thought to be the illegitimate son of some like Prussian czar or something like that. So these people all run in the same circles.
I'd love to see what kind of poetry that guy had, huh? Yeah, it had to be good. Hey, so I just want to back up what you were saying there, Stephen. Right from the horse's mouth. I always love to pull this. Secret Teachings of All Ages. We got Symbologies of Bees in here. You want to hear it?
Yeah. Let me see that book again. Full screen.
Secret Teachings of All Ages, baby. This is the one right here, dude.
I got to get me some of that.
Yeah. So in here it says, the bee is the sacred. The bee is the sacred to the goddess Venus, and according to mystics, it's one of the several forms of life which came to the earth from this planet from Venus millions of years ago. Wheat and bananas are said to be of similar origin. That's why we can't trace the origin of these things. So they think it came from Venus itself. The fact that bees are ruled by queens is one reason why this insect is considered a sacred feminine symbol. So in India, the god Prana, this personification of the universal life force, is sometimes shown surrounded by a circle of bees. Because of its importance in pollinization of flowers, the bee is accepted symbol of the generative power. And at one time, the bee was so it's the androgynous factor, right? Generative and creative. And so that's really the big part of that, by the way. It's a generative force and a feminine, divine, creative force. And so it also talks about at one time the bee was the emblem of the French kings. That gets into praxis. We were talking about Parisian enlightenment, which is like Paris. And we were trying to figure out, what does that mean? This may have something to do with that. The idea that France really had this, they're super Masonic in France, right? That's kind of the hub of Masons besides Scotland, Scottish Rite. So the rulers of France wore robes embroidered with bees, and the canopies of their thrones were decorated with gigantic figures of these insects. And then, of course, it gets into Beelzebub after that. Why wouldn't it, right? That's the right deity to get into after bees and all that. So anyway.
Well, I'll tell you this, man. There's some suspicion that Donald Trump could be either a forerunner of the Antichrist. He either could be the Antichrist, or he could be the pseudo eschatological Antichrist. What I mean by that is he could be like the promoted Antichrist that actually the real Antichrist defeats. Okay. Like according to Islamic eschatology, which by the way, the Mahdi gets help by Jesus to destroy the Antichrist. So this is, the White House put a beehive, right? Like on their front lawn. I think it was the south part of the lawn. And Prince Charles, or King Charles now, came out and actually was there day one that it got established. Now, King Charles is a part of the Dragon Court.
Yeah,
right?
But what's that movie about, by the way? Highly classified, off the books intelligence group known as the Beekeepers.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying? Like this off the books intelligence group, high elite group. That's what we're talking about here.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Stephen, I think we did a show and we were talking about Cybele or Rhea, and she's associated with that beehive as well
Yeah,
in the
let me see
ancient
how
world.
Yeah, you brought her up yesterday, Kybel or something like that. I remember I've seen her before. I know there's a city called named after her, and then you started talking about how she is a city. I was like, that's why I knew her name. Okay.
And guess what? Yes, Kabeli B. Yeah, or Cybele B. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's
The great
interesting.
mother goddess.
Jeezy said, these are just robots for the queen. And that's exactly what they're going to turn us into when the queen comes down here, depending on how it actually turns out. I mean, just think about how if we're all hooked up to this digital AI, turning us into these non-thinking robots, I can totally see where that symbolism comes into play. And it's a queen.
Yeah. And that's what I was getting at a little bit with this World Economic Forum that I was talking about, right? Tim, I talked about this on your show. I think maybe one of the first times I went on your show, talking about the mark of the beast technologies and all this kind of stuff. Like that word intermediary is like basically a medium in between the two. You can't do anything without this AI helping you make decisions, whatever it is. I want to show you something interesting too in this.
Well, they want to turn us, and that's the important. They want to turn us into the medium, though, right? We're mediators right now. We have ability over our independent ability over our own minds. Currently, we are the mediators of our own minds, but they want to make us the mediums of our own, so where we don't have autonomy over our own consciousness.
Exactly. So basically, this whole system would be operating through a digital identity, which would have everything that we basically function and operate today. I want to show you here on this form because it literally tells you what they want to do. And by the way, it kind of goes through a progression of it, of what our digital ID is to us today, our cell phones and yada, yada, yada. And then the next level would be embedded in body. Connecting to homes, cities, etc., devices,
Internet
all
of
this
things,
kind of stuff,
baby.
So
Bio-digital convergence, baby. This is the hardware behind that for sure. You know, it's no mistake that the Microsoft patent that gets into the whole cryptocurrency will get paid to you based off your movement data, 666 patent, right? Because it has to be, of course, that. Because what does the patent say? It says you have to meet certain criteria in order to get paid money. Well, that literally means that you have to think, act, and feel how the system wants if you want to get paid. That's literally all they're saying there. So, because these sensors see more than what you're doing in your house, like doing the dishes, they know how you're feeling, how you're acting, all those things. So, what you're thinking, all that. So,
well, they're already kind of doing that with the algorithm and social media content.
Yeah, exactly.
Think the way the algorithm wants you to think, it will promote you, you'll get paid. If you don't, you know, you're shit out of luck. So,
I know. And there's really no way to trick it either because everybody's kind of in their own echo chambers to a point where you can't like trick it and go, yeah, I agree with this and kind of funnel people into your side and then switch up and be like, okay, here's what's really going on. They'll be like, no, there's too culty in their camps. You know, you can't really can't bait and switch people into checking your stuff out.
But also the minute you start talking about their golden calf or whatever side they identify with, they totally get mad and they'll leave you. I've noticed that. Like I've had a couple of viral clips where I'm talking about Candace Owens being one part of the control structure, and all the $7,000 club people like it. They follow me, and then when they see me talking about their stuff, they go, "Oh no, I can't do that."
Precisely, exactly. It's so funny.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think it's actually huge that we brought up Praxis today. You know, I think that's the perfect case study for what they want the world to look like in probably 2029, 2030. If we look at the, the
someone's
mic check.
Was it me?
I think it's Steven. I think it was Steven.
What happened?
Well, I just heard it went away whenever you muted.
Okay. Yeah. You know, it's just the whole 15-minute like smart city internet, smart city thing. That's kind of what Praxis was a model of. And it's the same thing we see with like what the Rockefellers were doing with their resilient cities down in South America, Mexico City. And then, you know, Peter Thiel also was researching all this. trying to figure out how you could do. He was even looking into doing underwater cities, kind of like breakaway tech civilizations that you guys want to build. And I think they want to incorporate that Vatican, like Washington, D.C., like CERN, like parameters where they're kind of off in their own little world legally. They're like, what did you call that, Andrew?
That's so crazy. Why is it so? I'm so sorry. I got so distracted by one, how much this looks like a Japanese flag, and two, just to double down on the Japanese-esque kind of look. Look at those pictures. It's like the land of the sun. And it's like, why is Japan iconography so tied in? Because where did the Nazis get their symbol from, right? Right?
Bro.
Right?
This
Sorry,
is
I
their
got distracted
website.
by that. I apologize, Tim. What were you saying? My apologies. But that just got me, dude. I was like, whoa, dude. Land of the rising sun is where the Nazis got their symbol from. It's like they're rebranding. You know, they're skipping the Nazi part, but they're rebranding to what they were doing, right?
Have you guys ever looked into the occult meaning of praxis?
No.
Well, here it says, in the occult, the esoteric traditions, praxis simply means action or practical application. It refers to a physical and mental work of magic, meditation, rituals, energy work, and daily discipline, as opposed to just reading about it or memorizing in theory. So here you have this group trying to put this into theory.
I mean, look at that.
To get out there into practice.
Exactly. 2 pillars there with the sun in the middle. No, exactly, dude. I'm just taken away that they had, this is on their website, or is this from the guy who started it?
This is praxisnation.com. So this is...
I'm astounded.
This was the website that was on the Wikipedia. I want to mention something here where it says singularity politics. If you guys have an image of what Shambhala looks like, I don't really know what this is, but this looks like Shambhala, which is the mystical city that Maitreya and Sanat Kumara are to be like living right now, and where all of the ascending masters in the hierarchy are all a part of, and that they come down from there to here. That's kind of what that looks like. I don't know. It's very interesting to me. And this is basically,
exactly. God touching the hand of. I was just blown away by that. I apologize 3 times for you, Tim. What were you? Do you remember what you were saying? Because I really want to hear what you say. I just really was taken. I was taken away by that. I was like, dude, what am I looking at? Why? Like, I just couldn't not look. Anyway.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I just think they based this whole thing off of.
Yeah.
You know, that the occultism that I've already laid out. You know, and it's clear. It's right there, and that's like a there you go. That's exactly what I was going to comment on next, Stephen. Is the Michelangelo God touching Adam, but in the mind of your Praxinian, everyday Praxinian, they're not going to see that as God. This is a synthetic God. This is the AI God.
Yes, and that's a brain to them, by the way. That's God coming out of the pineal gland. They like to rebrand that image that God's actually in a brain touching out to man. So to your point, they're believing in gnosis, right? They're going to achieve it through AI, doing it through this autonomous intelligence system, which acts as God, right? Yeah, exactly. I mean, that kind of does
cybernetic Frankenstein thing going on with all this. There's this quote, I pulled it up. It's Mo Gaudet. He was the chief business officer for Google X, and he was on a podcast saying that they screwed up with AI. He's like, I always said, don't put it on the open internet. Don't teach it the code, and don't have agents working with them until we know what we're putting out into the world. Find a way to make certain that they have our best interest in mind. And he's, what stood out to me is like, he's talking about them as if this thing's come to life, like a cybernetic Frankenstein,
Right. Well, yeah. Remember Frankenstein, the recent one, and he's praying.
It's the bridging of 2 worlds, though. That's my whole point. It's the bridging of 2 worlds via technology, and that's what this symbolizes to me.
We're full circle to the beginning, dude. It's that collective unconscious that used to be everywhere that everybody could tap into. We no longer can. Everything's really material. Now we're bringing the collective unconscious to the material so we can experience that again. And that's exactly what you're saying there. Yeah.
Wow. Can I mention something here? in this is a brain. You are right. And this is a whole thing kind of describing Christ consciousness, but it's also allegorizing a counterfeit Trinity. This is God the Father. This is Semiramis. This is the goddess, dude, right here. And this is the Christ. Because you see his hand coming around. He's coming around
Touching.
the family. You know, he's coming around and touching the Christ. Michelangelo knew about the goddess. That's why it's thrown in there.
Semiramis. Is that Semiramis? He drew her
That
intentionally,
would, I'm saying,
or
yes.
symbolically.
She's got a
symbolically.
crown
yes.
on. She's got a crown.
Yeah, she's
That's slippery.
She's the goddess princess of Babylon.
Yes.
It was back
That's
to
some slippery,
Babylonians.
slippery shit right there. Pardon me.
Dude.
That's crazy.
Well,
That's
I'll
crazy.
tell you this too.
All these paintings, man. All these paintings were encoded with stuff.
I want
just about every single one of them.
Yeah, I want to throw this in here because this is really important. I want to show this. How do I show this? Oh, okay, so this is another Michelangelo painting. It's the Last Supper. Okay, and this is very interesting here. So right here you have, right, Jesus sitting at the table with the 12 disciples. In my opinion, this is Michelangelo. This isn't Jesus Christ. Okay, this is not the Jesus Christians believe in. Michelangelo was not a Christian. He was of the mystery schools.
I'll help
He
you out.
believed-
This is the first Olympic ceremony mocking in a painting.
And who was
right?
laying? Who
Yeah.
was laying? Yes, who was laying on the table was Dionysus.
Mhm.
Dionysus, the goddess of grape, vine, and ecstasy, was right there. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
So real quick, I got a little bit to break down here. So behind Jesus here, right, which in this photo, this is called the cosmic Christ. This is not really Jesus. Okay, this is a male and female entity that is androgynous. Okay, and behind him are the three hermetic doorways. You have the underworld that's on the left. You have the reality and the material realm, that's the middle doorway. And on the right, you have the celestial doorway, which is all apotheosis. It's all about making yourself a god. Clicking a bunch of stuff here. I wanted to mention this too, about the was it Last Supper Olympics?
Mhm.
Okay, so let me type that in here.
Yeah, Leonardo da Vinci was 100% an initiate, by the way. He was probably a Templar. He was deep involved with the bloodlines of his day and the mystery school material of his day.
Yeah.
And he apprenticed with the Duke of Milan and some other people who were in the Medici family. We talked about this on another episode, right, Stephen? We talked about the Salvator Mundi painting. That is, again, I would say that's another cosmic Christ depiction, not the Jesus of Christianity. This is it's depicted to look like it's androgynous, and it has a crystal ball in its hand, and it's magic. It's just depicting a magician.
And this is the photo from the Olympics, and that's Dionysus right here on the table. But look who's behind him. Oh my gosh. I mean, that's the Queen of Heaven that would be sitting on the same position of where Jesus would be sitting. But you know what's interesting, dude, biblically? And this is amazing because God, when he comes back, he's backhanding all of this blasphemy. And I'll try and read the verse here, because it's the only time in the Bible where King of Kings and Lord of Lords is capitalized. And it's really crazy because the Bible does this so many times. If you understand like the occult symbolism here of the world, you can see how the Bible says something, and it's like God is like backhanding the occult. Let me see. I'll pull this up.
I remember you giving an example of this. I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
You do a good job of giving examples about that. You're very right about that. I know what you mean.
It's
go
crazy.
on. But yeah, I know because you pointed that out about the frogs that one day, and I was like, that's a great point.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, that it makes sense.
So it's right here. It's Revelation chapter 19, verse 16. It says, and he hath on his this is Jesus returning, right? This is John seeing Jesus coming for his judgment. He's going to get ready to destroy everybody. And he hath on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Now, real quick, how this is a backhand to Dionysus, who I just showed, blaspheming God. Zeus came down and had sexual interactions with Semele, and Semele is the mother of Dionysus. Zeus, because of his pure light, basically set Semele ablaze, but she already conceived the child. But in the ashes was left the embryo. What was left was Dionysus, just in a undeveloped form. And so Zeus takes Dionysus and sews Dionysus in his thigh so that he can, grow Dionysus and then basically, deliver him and he could be a man. And Zeus is basically saving the life of his son by doing this. Jesus, this is interesting. Like it says right here, and on his thigh, a name written, King of Kings, Lord of Lords. Jesus is showing you who the real Son of God is. And he's backhanding Zeus and Dionysus. And he's also backhanding Dionysus by the following verse. And it says, and I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying, to all fowl that fly in the midst of the heaven, come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great God. It was the verse just before that. And it says, out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, and he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of Almighty God. Like, who's the God of grapes and wine and ecstasy? And he's coming and he's treading the wine presses. I don't know. And then the following line right after that is like, hey, King of Kings, Lord of Lords in his thigh. To me, Jesus is backhanding the Greek gods. I don't know if your all's opinion, but something I thought of.
Well, it says he will smite the nations, and who's in charge of all these countries, these principalities, these powers, these Greek gods, Egyptian gods, whatever you want to say.
And you showed Dionysus at that Olympic ceremony. Paris, France, Tim, I think we're answering our question from yesterday. What is the importance of the Parisian Enlightenment? What are we talking about? Well, Paris, France is where this Olympic Games was done, right? Where they did this, mocking of Jesus. Well, check this out. This is how the Secret Destiny of America, where they talk about the new Atlantis, to bring it back home to the new Atlantis aspect. Dionysus, the order of the Dionysian Artificers, originated among the Greeks and Assyrians at some remote time before 1500 BC. It was composed originally of skilled craftsmen banded together in a guild to perpetuate the secret order of their craft. Gradually, the science of architecture took precedence. Now, this gets interesting. According to a legend, when Solomon, king of Israel, resolved to build his temple, he went to Tyre and, of course, got Hiram Abiff. We all know this story. If you know anything about Freemasonry, this is like the main story about Hiram Abiff. He comes, he builds the temple, he gets killed by 3 thieves. This is the assassination ritual that they reenact with JFK or Charlie Kirk, right? The 3 killers, all that stuff. It's reenacting Hiram Abiff's murder. But he's from Tyre, and he's a master of the Dionysian Artificer. So there you go. And the member of this society, so he built the temple. The Dionysian Artificers, in other words, the Freemasons, same thing, built Solomon's temple. We're talking about the ballroom, the rebuilding of this Solomon's temple there, the rebuilding of the 3rd temple digitally, New Atlantis. It all traces back together. And here we are, with the mocking of Jesus, with the Olympic Games. So it is certain that the Dionysian practiced certain secret rites and worshiped the gods under geometric symbolism. This is why I always get so deep on that, right? Because they worship the architect of the universe, not the creator, but he'll tell you how it's made. He'll tell you how it's built. And of course, it always comes out true. That's why they believe it. They believe he's really God, and they follow him. So, yeah, I mean,
and the pentagram. The pentagram. So the Olympic ceremony opening, the recent one, it's that rose in a pentagram. To me, that's the geo symbolism that you're talking about. And
Right.
I think what they're trying to signal is some sort of a new Rosicrucian themed occult thing that they're going to try to usher in. But that's why they showed the rose. And then you put a pentagram up there, and that's, that could be something Crowleyan or something else. But
Yep.
I
And
do
where's
think
and that's
Dude, is
right.
that it right there?
Yeah, and that's right under
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Steven, you'll love this, but this is under the Arch of Baal. This is under that arch, the
Yeah,
one that's in France.
Oh,
It's got
yes.
5. You can see there's a 5-pointed star embedded in that.
Right.
And it's
Fallen angel
upside
shit.
down.
Wow.
It's upside down. That's what Eliphas Levi talked about. He said when it's upside down, it means something differently. It's more, I think, left hand. It's more for
It's
dark
it's
magic.
the goat of Mendez. So the goat of Mendez upside down, it makes a goat's head. Literally, it's called the goat of Mendez. That's why you'll see
Yeah.
the goat get used for a lot of different. The goat, he's
There
the
you go.
goat,
There you
right?
go.
Yeah. So that's where that.
Look at that one right in the middle. That's
Oh my goodness, dude.
Yeah, it's a pentagram. It's the Eliphas Levi Crowleyan upside down pentagram that forms into a rose.
Yeah, and
And
mainly,
look, disclosure. Who's a lot of the old heads behind disclosure right now? Jack Valet said to be a Rosicrucian. J. Allen Hynek said to be a Rosicrucian. A lot of people in this space are that thread is. There's probably a revival of Rosicrucianism happening, if you ask me.
Wasn't Martin Luther possibly a Rosicrucian? It's right there in his symbol with the rosy cross.
he was. No,
Yeah.
he was. Yeah, he
Yeah.
absolutely. That's mentioned in here as him being a Rosicrucian in this book. And I was going to pull up the pentagram just because Manly P. Hall does a great job at explaining when a pentagram is not evil and when it is. Okay, and he says that if it's a perfect pentagram, right side up, with no errors in the lines, and it's perfectly, each line is as long as the other, then that is white magic, right? But if it's upside down, if it's lopsided, then you're doing black magic. So that is according to. So how many times have you seen it like not perfect or any of that? So they're almost always doing it this way. There's the goat of Mendez in the middle on the right there in the black. That's it. The goat of Mendez.
Yeah,
Samael
it's
and
got-
Lilith on there. Samael's Saturn, and Lilith, of course.
Is that associated with Azazel? Because I know biblically the goat is used 2 times, right, with the sacrifice or the sins, and they send him off to the wilderness. One to, I believe it's to Azazel.
Yeah, so Azazel is often associated with the goat demons that are also mentioned in the Old Testament, but with the creation of the Baphomet symbol and sigil, that was also Eliphas Levi, and he incorporated these two, a demon and a demoness, into that, and the male side was Samael and the female side was Lilith. And it goes back to old Jewish mysticism, and that these were 2 entities, according to Jewish mysticism. These were 2 entities that were present in the garden during the fall of man, influencing the fall of man. And Samael was like basically a Satan figure, if not the Satan. He was one of the bad spirits involved. And then there was a divine, well, not divine, but more of a female demoness side to it that was represented by Lilith. And it's all encoded in the Baphomet symbol.
Mhm.
That's how Eliphas Levi imagined it. And then there's also so they incorporate the upside down pentagram, the left hand, the dark magic stuff, and it's also 5 points, so it's Venus, and that's where you bring the divine feminine in. The 5-pointed star of Venus, represented by the cycle of Venus in the sky over 8 years, makes a 5-pointed side. And then sometimes they don't complete one corner of the pentagram. It's like an open-ended side. And that's also symbolic of many different things in the occult, but it's also symbolic. It's in the Washington. It's encoded in the layout of Washington, D.C. Everybody talks about the pentagram, right? In D.C. Well, that's really there, and it really is not completed. One side is not completed,
Right.
and there's a lot of occult meaning behind that.
The capstone has not been put on. Yeah. The capstone is missing.
You kind of see
The 5 petaled rose, that's also symbolic of the 5-pointed star of Venus, because when you look at the actual charts of the path that Venus makes in the sky, it's not as sharp. The points aren't as sharp. They're more rounded, and it looks more like a 5-petaled flower.
This
I'm
is
done.
I'm dying over here. I'm having too much fun. This is a symbol of the dragon court right here. 5 point.
Yeah, and there's the 5-petaled flower. Yep.
Can I
Wow.
point something out here? I find very interesting
No.
how they can use dual symbolism for two things. They use dual symbolism. Let's look at this and now kind of analyze those pictures there.
Oh, okay.
So they have a cross that is their cross that they use with dragons on it. They also have a cross with them over top of a dead dragon, indicating that they have slayed the dragon, right? Now, I understand the symbology behind this. So Egypt, the god Typhon, which was actually a dragon god, he actually represented identity, pride, individuality. So he actually represented things that Christianity holds true. So the dragon was kind of an inverted evil thing during Egypt, but it was everything that we as Christians, right, would actually say are good. And then you have them incorporating the dragon into their cross there. I believe that would be the dragon that we're talking about when we're talking about, say, the Red Shield, or when we're talking about these groups that, you know, the Order of the Snake, Brotherhood of the Snake, etc. These guys are the Brotherhood of the Dragon. So there's two different kind of meanings for the dragon, depending on who you are and how you're operating. Isn't that interesting?
Wow.
Yeah, and if you look at the city of London, do you know that it's outlined by a bunch of dragons, Templar dragons all over the place? Like
it's
the
everywhere.
outline of
Yeah,
the
it's
city of London
global.
is literally a
Oh,
bunch
yeah.
of dragon statues.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
looked
like
at a
that
website
China.
once. There was somebody went around and took pictures of all the dragons in that area. There's
And
just
doesn't that look
statues
like
of
an
dragons
upside down
everywhere.
cross too, right there?
Oh,
yeah.
yes. That's a sword. Come on, chill.
Wow.
You can't really deny the shield there, but whatever. Let's look past that. Come on,
Yeah,
go
that's
ahead.
more of a that's probably a Templar shield, if I had to guess.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Oh yeah, the red and white,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yep.
I don't know why they would include that little upside down cross off to the side, though. That's probably, I would imagine, has some very Gnostic reasoning behind it. But I think they're going to try to incorporate all this stuff into the smart cities too. I mean, Francis Bacon was a Kabbalist. When you listen to some of these researchers, the Baconian historians that go deep into him, they'll tell you he was a Kabbalist, and he writes the New Atlantis. So if my theory is correct and technocracy was born out of this New Atlantis book, then there's Kabbalism involved with that. And I think that you're going to see that type of symbolism. I mean, look, we brought up Praxis, right? That's why Praxis is the case study for looking at these smart cities that they're like New Gaza. I forgot to mention that. New Gaza, Greenland, whatever they're going to try to do there. Camp Century. We talked about this on one of my shows. I think Ben came up with us once. Camp Century, that base that's up there, the base that JD Vance went to go visit. Thousands. Well, there used to be evidence and documentation that there were thousands of miles of cities beneath Camp Century, and that they called it the underground ice city. So there's already an infrastructure in place up there. So it's like, it's cold. It's a great place for data centers, Kabbalah. It's all there. You can extract the minerals from down there. You can extract the minerals from all your recent wars from Venezuela and Iran and your invasion of Greenland, if that ever happens. It's a perfect place to run the Western Hemisphere, and the TechMate map is out of a place like Greenland with a smart, Kabbalistic, technocratic, utopian, philosophic empire city.
And it's cold up there for the data centers, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Pulls
Exactly.
them right off. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. We touched on it. It's funny because he kept bringing up Greenland because of his research, and I'm like, you're touching on something that's kind of unrelated, but related in a weird way. I watched the movie Greenland for the first time. Have you guys seen that movie with Gerard Butler?
I've been thinking about watching it.
Yeah. Watch it, especially the first one, dude. Okay, because he gets a call. He's been selected to go to this shelter for only like elite people, right? They get to go to this bunker because a major cataclysm's coming from this asteroid strike, right? And so Of course, outwardly, everybody thinks it's fine. They're watching the news so they can see the show like it's a light show, but it's really like a planet killer's coming, right? And so the whole movie is about him getting to Greenland so he can get to this bunker. And then the second movie is kind of about like the whole Earth's been destroyed. I mean, everything's gone. They only survived in this bunker for years. They come out, there's like nuclear, it's terrible, like it's hard to breathe. And they're trying to get to a crater because they believe that this crater is going to be where like utopia is going to be created, right? And so, of course, it's building this new utopian society out of the death of the world. But it's funny because of the elite bunker aspect. Now, I've been kicking around this theory that maybe there's a chance that these guys don't just want to nuke the whole world and kill us all and replace us with AI. Maybe there's a chance that they think that there's something coming. Maybe they believe in the Adam and Eve story that was put out by that Chen author who talked about, I don't know if I said his name right, who talked about that there's a cataclysm that comes on a cycle where all the poles shift, like do like a 180 and the whole earth just, it's like the day after tomorrow, right? And so there's a lot of people that kind of believe this. Now, it's on the CIA website, so maybe there's truth to it where they believe it. If that's the case, would it make sense that they would have bunkers built, which we know they've done with the $21 trillion for the deep underground military base bunkers, underground cities? On top of that, they're accelerating AI to a point where we know that we're going to run out of resources, but maybe they're doing it because they understand that they have to get it autonomous and get it ready to run itself before this cataclysm comes. I don't know, just a thought. Not to say that, I mean, either way, it's a win-win. Like I told Tim, like if a cataclysm doesn't come, they still have the technology and the control and the whole world government, right? So
there's some people preparing for a pole shift right now. I just want to throw
that's my point. Exactly. And I've heard so much about that. So maybe that's this.
There's a lot of investment coming out of China and Russia. It's been relatively quiet here in the West about this, but there's a group of elites that really believe that there's this pole shift coming. And it could tie in with some of the things that Nostradamus and Casey were talking about. Potentially, they talked about the area of Greenland being something of importance in the future, a place of sort of refuge and resource. So who knows?
Yeah. And, I mean, maybe they are that evil. I don't know.
Because if the pole shifts, it's not going to be as cold up there. But yeah.
I think it's just something that's going to play into a narrative to push people to the law of one. Because if you look at Casey's work, that's what he says. He claims that it was the sons of Belial that caused the cataclysm. So if that was a part of the antediluvian world, I'm not saying it was, but just play along with me here. And Jesus says that as in the days of Noah, so will it be when the coming of Son of Man. And so if the Atlantean civilization, the narrative of it is coming full circle back around, then it would play into that the people that have the ability to cause nuclear destruction, or let's just say the poles are shifting, which I mean, there could be some science that justifies that. It's going to play into a narrative that will end up turning into propaganda that will push more to humanity awakening from this. And that now the Antichrist will be able to come in, swoop in, and lead humanity out of this world, out of this cataclysm, out of this destruction period, and into the new age, that Aquarian age, which would be the next age that comes after that cataclysm.
Well, exactly. And they believe in the great year cycle. Every 12,500 years, a major cataclysm happens, restarts humanity. This is what these people believe. I've studied so much of what they thought because I used to believe it myself. So I'm really familiar with 12,500 years ago was Atlantis in their mind. And that's about the time you find Göbekli Tepe. It's about the time you find, they try to trace the pyramids back that far because they want to put it on that date. It may be before then, it may be a little after. Either way, they believe that this was like a cycle, a cyclical thing. And you can look at the precession of the stars and see when it's going to happen again, right? Now, here's the thing. Somebody mentioned, here's the thing about the underground cities and underground tunnels is that people would talk about it. Well, simple Google search. Are underground cities, does America have underground cities with tunnels? America has numerous subterranean networks, vast underground business complexes and military compound centers, and historic tunnel systems all over America. So it's not really debatable. I mean, this is a real thing. So this is 100% real. They do have it. How much money has been allocated? how much of a parallel society do they have is the only question that hasn't been answered. Which, by the way, if they've already let out half the cat out of the bag, we know that they got the tunnels. All they got to do is hide how much shit or stuff that they're, storing down there, and how much of a real city they have prepared. And from what I've read, there's so many layers deep. You get the need to know people up here, and you only let the other people right in, down there,
I have a question. Do you think that these, fallen angels or gods have the technology to manufacture a pole shift? Maybe playing along Stephen's idea that the Antichrist is going to come back and save us from what they can do. And maybe a lot of this, destruction on Earth might come from that, partial pole shift that they could possibly pull out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what's funny is that Casey's work in the Sons of Belial, I've heard people advocate for the Book of Enoch being a book that is an Atlantean mystery itself. And I was like, what do you mean by that? Because it was Timothy Alberino that was pushing it on Jesse Michaels' show. And he was saying that it reflects Plato's work, and it reflects everything about, the destruction of Atlantis. And so he's pushing the Belial group. Alex Jones is pushing the Belial group. Everyone's pushing the Belial group. And so now everyone's kind of getting into this awakening that, oh man, like the fallen angels are bad and all this, right? Because that's the Christian perspective of all of this. I mean, the secular perspective would be like the Greys and the reptilians and these archons that are forces that control the world and all of this. I don't know. I mean, I just see it as, again, pushing us more towards an ascending masters, false light agenda. And that I think that out of all of this, it's going to be there's going to be like superhuman beings coming into the stage that are acting as Avengers versus Thanos.
Avengers. There you
see
go.
what I'm saying with that? It's like versus aeons.
Great analogy, bud. Great analogy.
So I don't know if that answered the question, but I do think that, they have the technology, sure, but they're doing it in a way to where it's almost like what happened in 2020, where, the Biden administration came in and there was all this evil and darkness and control, right? That in a way, humanity was getting beat up for so long, for 4 years, that no matter who came into office afterwards, the Americans were going to vote for someone else, and they were going to turn to something else. And Donald Trump came in, and America went right to him. But believe it or not, like, he was the false light. And Americans voted for him, and now we've got Project Stargate, the Genesis Project, we've got the Athena agenda, we've got all kinds of crap, dude, that now has secured the United States in a position where we are going to get to a technocratic society, a technological society, and the real surveillance system has been in place because we've been manipulated by thought first, and then our actions went with the wave. I don't know how to explain it.
Well, it sounds like what you just also described once again, the Hegelian dialect, right? Problem, which they create, pole shift, reaction. We go, oh my gosh, no. Solution, the ascended masters come back and they put an end to it. I think they rule us all by the Hegelian dialect.
Right. Forces of good and evil, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Roke's basilisk, which is closely like Steiner's eighth sphere, that comes out Steiner was talking about that in 1915, but more recently in 2010, 100 years later, you got this strange enigmatic post that comes out, Roke's basilisk, and it's a super intelligence that wants to build a technological bridge so it can come into our world and hatch the technological singularity ultimately, so we can merge with it. And if you don't help to make it happen, you're sort of like marked in a bad way. It's and also it's, you showed the clip there where they were quoting Elon Musk about, coming changes. And I want to say, he said something like, this will happen so fast that choice might not even be an option. Like, we won't even have the choice. We'll just be looking back on it, being like, oh, well, we didn't stop this.
The Zizians.
I don't think we ever have the choice. I think they've put trillions and trillions of dollars into this. This is a multi-generational, plan to enact this. And if you think us raising our voices against this is going to stop it, I got a bridge in QAnon land to sell you, which is to me why, we should focus on the Great Commission and Jesus. Talk about all this stuff, and we do this all the time to point out the falsities of this world, but ultimately to guide people to the truth, because it's all one big side.
Yeah. Hey guys, I wanted to switch it to this topic, and Ben, I want to start with you, and we'll go around with this topic here. And so we've hit the 250th anniversary of the United States, and it's a rededication day to God. Okay. Oh, that's a dog hair on my hand there. And so it's a huge Christian movement that is politicized, and the New Apostolic Reformation is leading it. The charismatic movement here is deeply involved, and these are the same people that basically anointed the Donald Trump gold statue. Okay. And there were, I think Orthodox Jews present there or something. I don't know. It's just really weird. What I see this as is a invocation day, because what they're doing here in this anniversary, this rededication to God, it's a Christian movement, but I don't believe that it's the Christian God. Now, people may disagree with me. That's fine. Drop it in the comments. It'll help the algorithm. Let's go. My thing is that this parallels completely with Alice Bailey and Lucis Truss, what's called the Invocation Day, and like the World Invocation Day. And the World Invocation Day is pretty much a global, worldwide prayer, right? And it falls on the full moon of Gemini, Sunday, May 31st. And it's happening this year. And it happens every year they do this. And it's pretty much an annual global day of prayer and meditation observed on the day of Gemini, the full moon, when people of all faiths and spiritual paths unite to invoke energies of light, love, and spiritual purpose, yada, yada, yada. When my buddy John Brisson was going through the documents, and his channel is called We've Read the Documents, he does a great job of breaking this down, and he actually shows you what these people are saying, and that they are uniting all faiths and all religions together on this day, but it's just an American taste to it. What's your guys' take on this? What do you see this as, and if it's connected to occult symbolism?
Well, I would say this: what God, right? Especially when it comes to America. And I think that Christians, especially when pastors start talking about America and God Most High ruling over us, I think we have to take pause and go back to the Bible. What does the Bible say about the control structure of this world? You don't have to go any back farther than Deuteronomy 32, 8-9, right? When God created the nations, he kept Israel for himself, but he assigned a lowercase God to rule over each one of these nations. And at some point, I would argue that God stopped being the principality over Israel, whether that's when they rejected him for Saul or when the temple fell in 70 AD. But over all these nations, including America, would be these lowercase gods. And they don't lose their principalship until Jesus comes back and destroys them all. So, I'm always hesitant whenever they bring in God Most High to the future of America, that he's ruling over us. I just don't think that's biblically accurate. And this is all, I think probably just a psyop for you to, worship your country, because if God's ruling over it, it's a good country. And the truth is there's no good countries, at least the governments of these countries. So yeah, I'm very suspect whenever, these pastors, start bringing God in with government. I think it's very suspect. I don't think it's biblically accurate.
Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
I'll keep it quick. It says that the controversy is around this 250th anniversary centers on the politicization of the celebration. It conflicts with how history is taught and the erosion of church and state separation. Do some people have a qualm with this because they're trying to make God a part of this too? And they want, I don't know. I haven't looked much into this, so I just looked it up to see what
Yeah.
the buzz
so
was.
It's the new apostolic part for me that is alarming, because this is a post-millennial believing movement, and they believe that the second return of Christ is not a physical return. That connects directly to New Age thought that's called Christ consciousness. And so this is a part of Christianity that is New Age. And if back in 1970s, you had people like Krem, who's a New Age, adept, saying that they have over 500 million New Age assets, not only in education, military, all parts of economics, all parts of the infrastructure of society, but they have them in the church, and that they would invite pastors to these events and basically like disclose agendas and movements to them. The New Apostolic Reformation is a New Age movement, and they're the ones promoting this whole entire thing. The fact that they're taking in all faiths, they're bringing in all faiths into this, is an ecumenical movement that's leading to Christianity almost being the one world religion, which is really weird. It's really, really weird. I wanted to show you guys something that I saw on X, and this is Jonathan Rumi, who portrays Jesus in The Chosen, and he delivers a powerful message of faith, prayer, and why America's greatest need isn't found online, but turning back to God. And this is very interesting, because what do we see here in the symbolism? Those are the 3 hermetic doorways, right? That's what we saw in Michelangelo's painting.
Real quick before you play this, did you know that he's a Knights Templar?
Yeah, and he's a Catholic mystic. Yeah, it's wild, dude.
There we go.
That's what I'm saying, bro. There's so much stink on this. And,
Well,
and
yeah, I mean the NAR church literally had a pastor named Vance Bolter who ended up going and wearing a mask, dressing as a police officer, and murdering Minnesota politicians in Minnesota, and then they blamed it on the governor there. I think that he was hired by, Trump or his cronies. I think the NAR, the Seven Mountains Mandate, I think all these are kind of the same movement. And I've noticed that when Trump has hold of the FBI, you see a lot of weird things going on with assassinations, people dying, kidnapping attempts, like in Michigan with that mayor. Epstein clearly happened under his watch. Everybody blames Hillary Clinton for killing him, but I don't know, man. It seems like Trump's got a little bit of, he's like a mob boss. It's like we put Meyer Lansky into the office. You know what I mean? It's like we got a mob boss running. But to that point, though, all I see is Crowleyan imagery from him. So he's saying during the same month that he made it Jewish Heritage Month, we're going to make it a Christian, America Christian again during that same month. It's kind of an oxymoron, isn't it? And then also he's posting like Drake's album. He signed to OVO, which is like OTO, right? Like the OTO for Crowley. And then Trump is just Crowley in general with the 9/11 kind of president style, all that. But also he just the other day after that posted 007, and that's another Crowley kind of thing, because Crowley's supposed to be portrayed in that movie. So there's just all these weird things where it's like you pick a weird amount of imagery that relates to satanic imagery or Crowleyan imagery very closely all the time. 666 hand symbol with
MAGA.
Yeah, and then he picks an artist that's signed to somebody who's like one letter from OTO. I don't know, it's just odd to me, man.
And what does it say about the body of Christ that we care about what this guy thinks because he looks like Jesus?
Right. Yeah.
I know.
I mean, to me, I was looking at this like all these people surrounding this guy. I saw that post that you made, all because he looks like Jesus.
He's got
we don't know what he
looks,
looked
man.
like, but I just think it's so.
Stephen, is that Krim guy associated with this 250th anniversary?
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
But
I know who that guy is though. I've heard him talk, and he's been talking about something coming for a long time, like some sort of you could call it a spiritual singularity. And he's for sure New Age, and his message sounds a lot like, let's get all the religions to agree. Let's like break down walls, and basically one world religion. Krim.
Mhm.
I know about him. So if this is anything like what Krim's message was, I would for sure be skeptical of it.
It's like he was the neo New Age, but then there's like a neo New Age now, and to me it's like it's the New Apostolic Reformation. They want to bond. They want to be brothers and sisters with all denominations. They want to reverse reformate back to the Catholic Church. They want to go home to mommy, dude. They want to go home to the Queen of Heaven. It's interesting. I wanted to share this too, because this is a podcast I think you guys should listen to, because this is a New Age asset, in my opinion. Matt LaCroix went on Danny Jones's podcast, and this is a guy who's part of the hidden wisdom, the hidden Atlantean knowledge agenda. Okay. And here he's kind of showing you, man, like what these structures are around the world. Now, remember what I just showed you guys basically with Da
Vinci, right?
Yeah, Da Vinci. And then what we just saw at that celebration for the 250th anniversary of, basically rebranding this country back to God. The three doorways were there. And so he talks about these as being the three doorways of Hermeticism, because he is a Hermeticist. He reads the book every morning. He says it is his Bible. He said it out on this podcast. And so here you can see that there's structures all over the world. And this is the code that he basically is saying that he's broken, where that these ancients left this code for us to find. And he believes that they just found it. And so I'm thinking, dude, if they do build an actual structural third temple, that it's going to have three doorways. Something behind it is architecturally, it's going to resemble the three Hermetic doorways, and he basically goes all over the world and he shows you all these different structures that have these three doorways. Look at the Trump Arch. It has three doorways with two lions at its side and the Liberty Queen of the Lady Liberty at the top. It's all there. And that Trump Arch has three doorways. This is the Temple of Ionis. The Temple of Ionis has three doorways. The doorway here on the left, the underworld, the doorway in the middle with the pine cone right here resembled next to it, and then the doorway on the right. And this is the world's going to follow the example of the Antichrist, and the world is going to follow it, I think, by taking the mark of the beast, which at some point I think that it'll make you like a god. I don't know how, right? We're not there yet. But Matt LaCroix claims that, and he says he's going to dedicate his whole life, his last breath to it, to make Hermeticism the world religion. Okay. And he says it literally, if I can get it.
And he craps all over biblical Christianity. I've heard him interviewed.
Oh, he's talking
about how the underworld is actually good. It's bad in the heavens. I mean, and the scary thing is he calls himself Hermeticist, but he also calls himself a Christian Gnostic. I've heard him say that multiple times too. So I guess if you want to dedicate your life to serving Satan, great.
Well, dude, the Hermetic God is a dragon. And the dragon's name is called Poimandres.
Sounds like monster.
It's a Pymander. It's a dragon.
Yeah, exactly.
And he even says it too, because he
says dragons are good, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Listen to this. Listen to this come out of his mouth, because the whole concept with all of this was my whole point was is that Christianity is being brought into the New World religion, and it kind of tied in with you, Andrew, a little bit with Orthodox Christianity and this kind of stuff.
This is where it gets into something so pivotal that you thought lost civilizations was a big deal. Proving them. This will reshape humanity. I mean that. I anticipate this creates an entire new world religion. No joke. I'm serious. Hermeticism will become the new world religion.
There it is.
That's what they want. That's what they want. Yep. Oh boy, he says it right out loud, doesn't he? Well, I mean, that's the point of Danny Jones' podcast, right? I mean, that's the point of, you know, these guys in the Joe Rogan sphere, man. I mean, they're being put out here. They're the next level, right? You go Joe Rogan, then you go the next step, Danny Jones, and maybe you find a guy he's interviewing like LaCroix, who's laying out. And then this is how it goes, right? Because, you know, Joe Rogan's kind of like the guy just interviewing like scientists and stuff like that. If, you know, you'll find some guys on there that'll lead you to this, and this is where he'll lead you to. And then, you know, that's how it goes. It's very intelligent. It's a good way to do it because it's an Overton window to here. And then I got guys to segue you if you want to go a little farther, you know? It's wild how that works. You know, there was a point in time where I had stopped listening to certain conspiracy shows because I felt like, you know, unintentionally or not, it was actually drawing me into the ideologies of the elites. A lot of conspiratorial content actually leads you into the same ideology that these people like Nick Land have, for instance. Like Nick Land, you know, thinks that a merging of all the identities is what we need, right? Well, you know, NPCs and stuff like that all comes from this, with this idea of like, there's just certain people that just are animals. There's certain people who don't have the ability to so this all leads into the same ideology as the elites, but it's sold slightly different. And so that way people like us could be kind of drawn away from the truth.
Yeah, someone said that Matt LaCroix was, Neff Hunter says Matt LaCroix was on Sam Tripoli's show talking about this. Bro, he's been going on all of these big shows because that's what they're pushing. They're, to me,
I've noticed a lot of these guys that were not spiritual, didn't have any sort of spiritual inclination to what they talked about, to their issues and their research, are now coming out and they're all adding in these spiritual elements. I've seen it across the boards with this community, you know, even from Scott Walter to Randall Carlson to sounds like this LaCroix guy too. Like there's this spiritual aspect all of a sudden to what they're saying. And it's, you know, it's Gnostic from what I've seen, like Scott Walter's definitely pushing a Gnostic thing. He's joined up with Tim Hogan too. They're doing Cosmic Summit together, and they did a joint lecture at Cosmic Summit. It was like over 2 hours long. Half of it was just Gnostic spirituality 101.
Yeah, and I think what you're seeing, a lot of them are coming to Christ, at least they have in the past 3 or 4 years publicly, but yet at the same time, they just push a bunch of Gnostic BS. So something just doesn't add up, if you ask me.
Yeah. Tim, did you at all hear Matt LaCroix say what he thinks the world religion is going to be?
Yeah, I could still hear it.
You can still hear it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I heard it. One world. What was the exact quote though? One world religion?
It was
or new world religion?
It will be the let's hear it.
I mean that. I anticipate this creates an entire new world religion.
Yeah.
No joke. I'm serious. Hermeticism will become the new world religion because of this.
Oh my gosh, because of their work, dude. They want to release it to the people so badly, dude. They want that Atlantean mystery to hit the people like hot off the press, dude.
See, if you were to put these guys in a room together, maybe this has already happened, but if you were to sit down LaCroix with Scott Walter, Tim Hogan, and I don't know, maybe even one of the Bledsoes, because he talks about getting into this Templar stuff too. They might all be on the same page, and this might all be the same thing that they're trying to add in. I just think it's interesting. You know, you go from talking about rocks and ancient sites to Hermeticism and Gnostic 101.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tim Hogan, you said, right? Tim Hogan.
Yeah.
Bro, you're the one that told me, you're like, dude, watch out for a Templar agenda to come out and to start to discredit Jesus Christ. And they're going to push, I think, Randall Carlson, Graham Hancock, Billy Carson, I think all of them, they're getting ready to do it. And I say, bring it on, dude. Bring it on, bro. I'm ready. I'm ready. I got my
Oh, yeah.
14 acres. I just moved in yesterday, bro. I'm ready.
He's chilling, dude.
I'm chilling, man.
Hell yeah. That's
Listen,
Well, yeah, I
guys,
mean, there's
go ahead.
there's 3 different spots in Jerusalem right now that different people are claiming is associated with like the tomb of or the bones of Jesus, and it's like you guys aren't going to sell that story to anybody if you can't get on the same page about where it actually is. You know what I mean? Like the Talpiot tomb and all that. Like, there's 3 different places over there where they said we discovered the bones of Jesus.
Yeah, because
Where are they? Where are they, and why are they 3 different places spread out over 3 different time periods? Like, what are we talking about here?
But that would also suggest that Jesus didn't ascend into heaven, right? And I
Right.
think we're going to see this mystery Babylon religion or this Gnostic ideology really take off after what I believe is going to come as a major war. And you're going to have, I think, the quote unquote aliens coming back, which will be a part of it. You'll have the Hermeticists or the Christian Gnostics out saying that the God of the Bible is evil and he's the demiurge, and they'll take a look at what's going on geopolitically and how we got to this. I think also they're going to try to wipe out a bunch of believers, maybe older believers as well. So I think it'll be ripe for the taking when they present this idea to us publicly, when the mystery schools become public.
Right on, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
you could. I mean, it's brewing. Like,
Yeah,
it's,
they're
you can
planting
see
seeds
that
now.
this is. You can see that this is happening on all these podcasts through different guests. It's just a matter of time before it converges and they try to make it more of a unified message. But it's happening, and it's,
Well, they're
and
still
it's
telling
happening
the
in this
literal version.
podcast sphere.
Yeah, I mean, they're still telling the literal version. That's their problem. They're still going with this literal version. They're not getting to the symbolic aspect of things where they're like, look, actually, Atlantis is not just one place underwater. It's one world government that it's an archetype of a type of society that we're going to bring back. And I think that's why their message doesn't line up, because they're still talking to the masses and they're not really telling the truth fully, but they're trying to lead you towards believing them when they do tell you the truth. So I think right now that's why there's something up, like something's not right. Yeah, because they're still literalizing the stories. That's why they can't get it right where it is, what it is. They just want you to believe that there's something worth looking at and questioning. So when they give you the answer, you'll believe it. You know what I mean? So I don't know if this message not being together isn't 100% done on purpose as well. It still leads people to question things. It gives them all kinds of things. It confuses them even more too in their questioning, to where they don't get that one idea of what this is, right? But who knows, but that's kind of how I see it.
Yeah, and I also think that, like politics, they don't care what you believe in as long as it's not Jesus. So they have different flavors for different people, whatever tickles your fancy. So ultimately, when they usher in the real deal, this unifying one, you got the whole Jesus part knocked out of it by then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Goodness gracious. I had, and I'll finish with this, guys, and we'll land this bad boy. Let me see how do I make this bigger here? I had AI kind of draw out the structure of Gnostic theology. All right. And here, this is what I think is going to happen here with the alien UFO agenda. All right. You're going to have 2 sides of alien forces that have always been here. They've been here before man. Okay. And you're going to have the ascending masters here, which are the aeons, versus the archons and the demiurge being the one to be the master over them, right? And it's so funny how it's inverted and how Satan he's framing God as the fallen angels. Do you guys get what I'm saying here? Like when you read the names and then you could see that they're evil, but then you know what the Gnostic meaning is behind it. In our perspective, you can see this. I mean, we can talk about this another day or whatever. And I'll send you guys this picture and I'll just let you guys do your thing on it, because this speaks what I think is going to happen. Where you have like these bad entities which are controlled by the demiurge versus the ascending masters, which are going to be the good guys, but really they're not. And their Lord is Sanat Komora and all this kind of stuff, because I do think Matthew 24, verse 24 may imply what Alice Bailey talks about as the externalization of the hierarchy, where you have the world teacher and his hierarchy on the boots on the ground, doing miracles, all kinds of stuff. And that, you know, they're even connected to aeons in the Gnostic theology perspective of it. Anyways, man. Guys, any last words? Go ahead, shoot ahead.
That was fire, man.
Last thoughts? Everybody good?
I had a great time. That was fire.
One
was
thing,
good.
I think Dunt said something perfect. And I think when we start diving into this stuff and discussing this stuff, ultimately, the solution is pray for them. We shouldn't allow this to, you know, have our heart harden. I mean, I might do that as well. So this is as much for me as whoever's listening to this, you know, prayer and remaining, you know, steadfast in the Lord, allowing the Spirit to operate through us is the only way we're going to get through this. So I think that was very important what Dunn said right there. Pray for them.
Amen. Amen, man. Absolutely.
Because they need the
absolutely.
gospel too, right?
Dude, man. Yeah, bro. Like everybody, like, come on, right? Well said, Ben. Thank you, man. Ben, brother, love having you on. It's always a blessing. Where can the audience check out your work and all that good stuff, man?
You can check me out at End of the World News on Instagram. I have a podcast that I put up on Spotify and iTunes. And if you want to check me out on YouTube, it's End of the World's News. And you can see that in my title right there. Just add an S to the end of D. It's all one word. And thank you, Dunn, for putting that up in the chat. So, yeah, that's where you can find me. And I had a blast. I always do when the boys get back in town. And keep on doing your work.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Tim, brother, thank you for coming on, man. It's always a blessing as well. Where can the folks check out all your stuff, man?
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Always great. Had a blast talking with you. It's always fun. Steven, thanks again so much for having me on, man. And if you're interested in my show or what I look into and research, come check me out at Sixth Sensor Podcast. I spell it out SIX. Best place to find me is on Spotify, but I'm also on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. Thanks again, brother.
Yeah, man. Andrew, it's a blessing as always, man. Thank you, bro. We've worked together here back to back. It's a lot of fun, man.
I love it, dude. I could go back to back with you guys every day, man. This is awesome. Thank you very much for having me back. And yeah, we'll have to do this more often again, you know, at least a couple times, or at least once a month, you know, we'll get it going, a little round table action. But yeah, 6G Agenda, you can find me anywhere you type that out at. And yeah, we're all over the place. If you want some early access, ad free, just hit up the subscription. We got plenty of live streams we do on YouTube all the time with these fellas and everybody else, or just solo. We mix it up a lot, and all of them are deep dives. So yeah, check us out. Large archive. Thank you so much, and shout out the chat. We'll see you guys next time.
Yes. Hey, we'll try and get the crew together once a month, twice a month, whatever. What I want to really kind of try and do too, folks, listen, if y'all have any topics you want us to cover or whatever, shoot me an email. My email's in it's thebiblicalhitman@gmail.com. Shoot me some topics or whatever, maybe some current news. I'll see what we can do with all the schedules, because we all have our own shows and all this stuff. Also,
if I may, real quick,
yeah,
if you don't mind, little plug. I actually just thought of something while you were saying that. Doc Brown and me are probably going to be starting a little like news, current events kind of show like once a week. So I'll be on the lookout for that Prometheus report. So that'd be kind of cool. So we'll probably be throwing down on that. So yeah, that'll be another thing to look out for a little current news action along with your man, End of the World News.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah. Doc Brown. Love that guy, man. He actually stayed at my house not too long ago, like a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago.
Great dude, man.
All right.
Yeah.
Super gracious dude.
Okay, guys, listen, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Chat, love you so much. I appreciate every single one of you. You know I love you. I hope everyone has a blessed day. Enjoy the rest of your day. All right. The sun's still out. Go get some vitamin D. But if you want to support the work that I do here, be sure to go to patreon.com/the biblical hitman. You can get all of your ad-free early access, and all the goodie bag stuff is over there. Also, come support the channel here at YouTube. If you're here and you just joined us and you haven't done so, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like the show, and share it with your friends. Do the same thing for the guests as well, because they're coming on, they're putting in the work. Go ahead and also support the channels over on the audio platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, or Spotify. Spotify. We're all growing on Spotify, and it's the leading podcast app out there. I can just always encourage folks, if you had a good time, you like the show, you just want to be nice and support me, drop a 5-star review, hit that follow button, click that notification bell, and you'll be notified whenever episodes are dropping. I'm dropping 4 to 5 episodes a week. I ain't stopping, baby. I'm going hard. I'm going hard in the paint for the Lord. Let's go. See you next time. God bless.